space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission until we are cancelled and replaced by something far superior. To review every Star Trek episode and movie in existence. To seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable. To boldly go where very many other YouTube-based Star Trek topic shows have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody out there. Welcome to the first episode of Trekking Up North in 2024. I am your host, Captain Goodwill of the U.S.S. Adequate, and joining me, as ever, is the delectable Geesian from the planet Honk! Honk! Science Officer Synoiz. And this week we are joined by a very, very special guest. He is a Canadian. And that's all you need to know.
That's it. There we go. That's it. So, tell us the best thing about being Canadian.
He is acclaimed background actor who has actually been in Star Trek. David Jones. Hello, David Jones. Welcome to Trekking Up North.
Hello.
How are you,
Hello,
sir?
Captain Goodwill. Hello. I am fantastic. How are you both?
Yes. How are you, sir?
No, I think we need to be honest about stuff because it's like I've got to perfectly admit I've had proper January blues this year. Like it doesn't usually happen, but it's like the last couple of days I've just been like, I feel really sad today. And it's like, and I think there's something therapeutic about mentioning it because then all your mates are like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean and stuff. And there's like this camaraderie with being honest about your feelings. But yeah, no, I think 2014 is it is a year. It is shaping up.
2014 was 10 years ago, Synoiz.
Okay.
Are you okay? Are you fine?
I've got no dates to work.
It's been a long road.
That's how much cheese was consumed at Christmas that I know no longer.
Oh
what year is it?
I think he's sobered up. Oh my god.
That's what it should have been. I should have run on with this massive beard, being like, what year is it, man? Yeah.
The bender is finished.
No, I'm still talking. But no, it's going. It's going great. How are you doing, David? Are you glad to finally be on the show after sort of being around and being like watching the show and stuff for ages and not being able to be on the show because of the strikes?
Yeah, it's been a while, isn't it? I think we talked about this just after Under the Cloak of War aired.
August.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been watching your show for a long time, and it's finally great to finally be here.
And you're still here. That's the surprising thing. That's what I'm thinking of. Usually it's like how long it takes them to click the dislike button and be like, do not recommend channel.
No, that's only people who are jealous. Wow, guys, it's been a hot minute, hasn't it, since our last episode of Trekking Up North? That was the end of November
2014, apparently.
Yeah, 2014. Yeah, we went into a time vortex. Everyone's Christmas is good. Everyone's New Year's good.
Nice and quiet. Just why you needed it.
That's the only time I've got to hear Synoiz go,
That's it. Things happened at Christmas. No. I want everyone in the chat actually to tell me what your favorite part of Christmas dinner is, because someone the other day told me it was sprouts, and I just don't condone liars. But it's like I'm like, you do realize there are other things on the plate, but but yes, that's what I want to hear from the chat.
Do you enjoy farting immensely on an afternoon? I don't know. It's
well, when you phrase it like that,
well, I just don't have to throw up in my mouth twice. It's
this is going off to a great start.
Yeah, it's going off. I haven't even started the martini yet. It was a difficult month for me. For those that know, my grandmother sadly passed away a couple of days before my birthday last month, and it's been difficult. I took time away, and yeah, it was inevitable. It was one of those things. It's very sad,
Right.
but I have had the ever constant support of Synoiz, of David, giving me words of encouragement. And I want to give a shout out to everyone, to Joe for taking the time to call me all the way from New York City, baby. to check up
They
on
have
me.
telephones there.
They do. Pretty soon they might have mobile phones. It's great.
I thought it was just pure telepathy. Wait,
no,
what
no,
year
no.
am I in now?
Yes. Everyone showing support and love. Thank you so much for helping me get through that. Thank you very much to you, David, to you, Synoiz, to Mark, to Joe, to Donna, to Paul, to Sammy, to everyone. You are wonderful, loving people, and I am so lucky to know each and every one of you. Apart from that, we are back. I have wanted to do this. The disembodied legs of David.
Every time it happens, I can't stop laughing.
It's so funny. We are back. We are back. Ready for 2024 for the big things that are going to happen for 2024 in Star Trek. And I have got a chilled glass of passion fruit martini right here. What else should I ask? How has your week been, Synoiz? Has it been blue?
It's been a strange one. Like, it's basically the last week has been like going, oh, Christmas is over. Now time to do put all of the stuff that I'm meant to be doing into context. I'm getting a bit scary because obviously next weekend I am at DragCon in London. So I'm going to be on my heels for a full weekend in London interviewing people and stuff, which is going to be very difficult. But it's going to be intense. And then obviously tomorrow I'm getting to see you, bizarrely, like belated birthday shenanigans. And yeah, and it's just kind of realizing how the year's planned out. But I'll get through it. But it is that scary thing of, like you're saying, David, you have this lovely relaxing Christmas and New Year and stuff, and then you're just like, oh, well, I'm gonna do things. What? What's this? And then you come back and he's just like, oh, why is everything on fire? What have I done?
Well, speaking of our acclaimed guest, David is a background actor from Nice, France, not shit Canada. He is a background actor from the Toronto area, and he has been in a porky little show. I believe it's called, let me just check my notes, Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
I wrote Strangle New
Terms. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But he has been in many, many other things, as well as the festive movie, shall we call it, Thanksgiving. So, David, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do? Oh, he's on mute.
Oh, he's got.
You're on mute, my dear.
I think they've tried to stop spoilers. It's like, no, don't tell us the whole plot. Don't tell us all the secrets.
They said Paramount are hot on his heels.
Do they what?
There we go. We've got him back.
Well, thanks for having me, everybody. It's been great knowing you guys for all this time.
I thought you was going to leave there.
Happy to.
It's been great knowing you, but I'm on to something better. Bye.
But yeah, I'm a Canadian background actor. I was just recently on Star Trek Strange New Worlds under the cloak of war. Thanksgiving, See No Evil, others I can't talk about.
Oh, he's been on things that we can't say, but we know and we can't wait. It's honestly talking to you and getting to know you and just listening to how successful you have been in such a short space of time and being on these wonderful shows and films that we can't really talk about. I'm jealous. You have quite literally lived possibly every Trekkie's dream where you have been in Star Trek. You know, even in the background, even just being there is quite possibly the dream of every Trekkie out there. And to experience that. How was that? How did it feel? And I know you couldn't say anything for a year because as soon as Under the Cloak of War came out, he sent me a message straight away, and I'm like, "Shit, that's you." How did it feel? Like how could you process being there?
It was surreal. Like, I've grown up as a Star Trek fan since I think my first Star Trek episode was just before Best of Both Worlds aired.
Wow.
I think my first Star Trek movie I saw in theaters, I believe, was First Contact. I can't remember if I saw Generations.
Generations or First Contact. This is getting good.
Yeah, I think it was first. I think it was First Contact that I vividly remember. I remember I was shit scared of seeing the Borg when they're, going after everybody, assimilating.
Was it the drill in the eye?
I know. No, it was when they opened the doors and you just see all those red things coming at you, and you start seeing all the Borg coming after them. I think that was my first, if I'm not mistaken. Surreal, like, even you're a background actor, regardless, like, you have to be in Star Trek. You arguably get to be in one of the best episodes they've ever done too.
Yeah.
Wait, this is what I was gonna say. It's the fact of going, there's being like, I keep laughing at the idea of being like a background actor, and it's like really elaborate photo bombing. So it's basically where you sort of like, well, not only have you got like a full costume and everything, you're just like, but no, it's the fact of how good, like, you want to be in the background of Trek, you want to be in an episode of Trek, but then you're in one of the episodes, one of the amazing ones we have in season 2 of Strange New Worlds, that is going to be talked about for a very long time.
Yeah.
Same as like Ad Astra, the same as
those old scientists.
Quality of Mercy.
I was going to mention Subspace Rhapsody, but yes.
No one cares about that.
But it's the idea of just like I rewatched it today. Hilariously, I was unable to rewatch it due to it not being on Paramount Plus for me anymore, which is very odd.
We obtained it through Ferengi means.
Yeah, I had an annoyance thing where I'm like, I'm paying for Paramount Plus, but I can't watch it. So I'm having to resort to this in order to talk about it, in order to advertise it.
The home of Star Trek. For now.
Well, that's it, the home of Star Trek. Not if you're viewing it through Amazon. But anyway, but a little rant there. But rewatching it today and just realizing like how perfect it is. Like, it's just such an amazing episode. Like the way it deals with PTSD and the fact that it raises questions. I kind of class it as the new like Tuvix at the end, because remember when we were talking about it, where we're going, hey, does Mbenga actually deliberately kill him? Or is it an accident? And it's one of those weird things where you're like, it could go either way. And
deliberately ambivalent.
Yeah. Ambiguous.
Sorry.
Wait, a bad Klingon did die, so technically it is kind of maybe ambivalent. But
it's also as well too, like this also could lead to why we get Dr. McCoy down the road, right? Maybe they go into that. Maybe this is the start of it.
Well, yeah, because Mbenga at this point in Strange New Worlds is the CMO, but then McCoy comes on board as the CMO. So why does Mbenga get demoted in a way? It's very interesting how they go into, which is why it's one of the things I have loved this year, because we've seen throughout the interwoven series of Star Trek where they've actually taken care of continuity between all these new shows, and this is one of them where it's just like, oh yeah, so this is Scotty, and this is Mbenga, and we're gonna maybe see how this has happened, and then with Lower Decks with Mariner, which linked to the Next Generation and stuff like that, and it's really interesting that the writers are sort of like, oh yeah, there's more than one show about Star Trek happening. Maybe we should listen to them and take heedance from that, and blah, blah, blah. And I think we had already had, I mean, we'll get into the review shortly, but we already started 2023 off really the ground running with Picard Season 3. And then to get Strange New Worlds, everyone was like, well, how are they going to top this is just like the epitome of excellent Star Trek. And then it was just like, holy shit, no, they didn't beat it. They matched it in a completely different way to what Picard was, and it was brilliant. And the stand, I mean, there is, I think we're all pretty much in agreement. We've all got different episodes in season 2 that were sort of like, but overall, it was a very, very strong season that hit all the notes at the right time. And under the cloak of war, we made comparisons to the Siege of AR-558 from Deep Space Nine. We had Subspace Rhapsody, which was Star Trek taking a massive gamble, and it paid off. And then
spectacularly.
And then we saw possibly one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek as a whole in 20 years, Those Old Scientists, where it's like, how do we deal with a crossover? But Not only that, how do we deal with a crossover with an animated show? And it was just absolutely brilliantly done. And it blew me away.
Yeah, David.
It also won as well too. Like, I don't think we've ever seen a Star Trek time where it's gone light episode, dark episode, light episode, dark episode, and it just every episode was a banger.
Yeah.
Like showing what it can do. It literally goes, here's a courtroom episode, followed by here is a sort of like investigative one. I don't know what, like a mystery one. And then obviously here's a comedy one, and here's like a really serious war one. And it is, and it's also the fact of, like we're saying here, the writers are sort of giving answers, but then opening doors as well and going like, hey, we can follow up this Mbenga stuff. And it's weird seeing that when I'm used to like sci-fi shows that give you answers and then have to retcon them later. Like Doctor Who's one where it goes, hey, here's a definite thing where here's a definite ending here. And then later on they're like, well, okay, maybe they didn't die. Like, oh, maybe they can come back. And you're just sort of going like, oh, okay. Where Strange New Worlds somehow doesn't paint itself into a corner while still answering loads of questions. It's very strange.
While still remaining episodic in nature.
Yeah.
Harkening back to the original series. Shall we, though, kick off our review of 2023 with arguably the biggest series that came out as a whole in television last year, Picard Season 3. Now,
it was all right,
let's do it.
I know from knowing people who worked in Picard, like Doug Drexler and stuff, even as early as when Season 2 was airing, a load of people were saying, yeah, we've got Season 2. Just wait till Season 3. Just wait till Season 3. Now, for me, Picard, Season 1 and Season 2, possibly the weakest Star Trek that we had. Very meh, enjoyable, but very... do you know what I mean? Like, slow, and it was just... Things sort of lingered too much. Time travel, again, there was a whole raft of time travel. Like, we're in Los Angeles 2024, and it's just like... and yeah.
The alternate Borg.
So... Everyone,
the alternate Borg is it's one of these ones where, but at least now, like, people can't be like, hey, Voyager ruined the Borg, and you're like, ha, wait till Season 2 of Picard,
But then we lost Cristobal Rios, the cigar smoking,
which is
captain.
a crime.
It is a major crime. As captain of the Stargazer, it was a major crime because I loved the actor. I loved Cristobal Rios' character. I think he was brilliant. There's so much
they didn't do anything with, like his whole crew of holograms, and there's no plot point. There's nothing done with it, and you're like, why? What?
But also as well, it's like, you're going to stay in 2024 when you know the Third World War is just around the corner. So going into Season 3, everyone was pretty much, we'll just see, because the last two seasons have been a bit average. But we were getting a lot of spin from people who worked on the show saying, no, this is going to be what you have waited for. Like Michael and Denise Okuda, Doug Drexler, Dave Blass, everyone was saying, this is what you have wanted. And Terry Metalis is on board. This is what you want.
Yeah.
And holy shit, like, to this day, it is possibly the best start. I mean, I know we had everything else, but this was possibly the best Star Trek we had in 20 years, in decades, where it was the 25th century. It was 10 episodes of the next generation, and everyone had their own part to play except Laris, and who's still on Chalcott 4 with the dog.
the character sort of bookend of a series I've ever heard.
Don't worry,
she's
I'll
here.
meet
She
you
won't
on
be
the
back.
beach. I will meet you. Yeah, go on. I've got a son.
we just-
Bye.
Could we just do a whole series of just Picard just like ditching Laris in like random places? Just like Laris standing in random places, just being like, any moment, just checking her phone.
But Picard Season 3 was excellent from start to finish. It did go a little bit long with certain things, and the Borg again. Everyone in here breathe like a when we saw the reveal of the cube behind the red door?
Well, we were expecting Keiko, so we can't really. So the fact that we were surprised that it wasn't Keiko is a bit depressing.
Listen, the fans wanted Keiko. We wanted Keiko. We will get Keiko at some point when Star Trek Legacy gets made. I'm telling you.
God. I just love that if we can just put this energy out into the universe, some mad nutter at Paramount's going to be like,
"Where's
yes,
Miles? Where's Miles?"
That's it.
Someone get Terry Metalis on Twitter right now. Sorry,
God.
X or whatever, toilet sink or whatever. Just say we're 3 miles.
Get me Rosalind Chow, damn it!
It was like it was everything I had wanted Picard to be, that it wasn't for 2-3 years, and I wanted more of it. And I think that the huge fan cry for Legacy just accelerated after it finished. And I mean, the signatures, I think it was up to, the last time I checked, was 60,000 signatures for Picard season 3, which is Star Trek Legacy, which is insane. But it was I can't describe how
something
much
we'll never forget.
Yeah. But for me, and this is going to be selfish, without Picard season 3, there would be no Trekking Up North, there would be no Science Officer Synoiz, there would be no U.S.S. Adequate, and there would be no drinking problem with passion fruit martinis.
Let's not talk about the good things.
Yeah, let's. But I think for me, like, possibly, and I'm gonna say it now, the highlight of 2023 for me, without a doubt. And I said this when we reviewed episode 9, that I cried like a little boy when the Enterprise D was revealed in Hangar 12. The music, the visuals, the direction, everything was perfect. Absolutely perfect. And it was tears of joy. And it's so crazy to think like this CGI ship could evoke so much emotion in so many people that it was just the highlight, because it was like, that's when I knew this was Star Trek, this was the next generation, because we are all roughly the same age. We all
so.
Well,
Yeah, can you tell?
Well, DCNs age differently.
It's just this is chocolate.
This is great. This is working with customers all these years.
Retail. We all grew up with the next generation. Our generation was the next generation. So to see the Enterprise D leaving the Starfleet Museum and warping away to one last thing, it was very emotional for a lot of people. And it was like, this is what Star Trek is about. It was this crew on this ship at this time, and it was something that was desperately needed. And I will say that right now, that is my main highlight of 2023, was seeing that ship and seeing how Picard ended, not with a death, not with tears of sadness or anything like that. It was an old ship. They saved the day. Everybody survived. Spoiler alert. Everybody survived. They lived happily ever after. Because in the age of, happily ever after is so cliche, to have that and to have it with this crew, that they are there as a family and the camera pans just playing poker, perfect. That is how you should end a series after 35 years.
Yeah.
And
it's proof that you don't need twists and turns to make something memorable, you know? Like, it's the fact of going, it worked because they just went, we're going to end it how you can probably expect that we're going to end it. And that's satisfying. But after Star Wars being constantly kind of like, hey, let's, bring
it back from the
expectations.
dead.
And you're like, no one wants this, you know?
How did you feel about Picard, David?
So that was your moment that made you tear up.
Yeah.
Obviously being on Strange New Worlds, I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
So it made it even more emotional when I saw. But my first thing that got me teared up for Picard was hearing that first contact music at the end of the first episode, I knew that we had something special coming.
When I saw that, so it was the day of the release of episode 1, and I was at work, but someone had said, "Oh, here are the end credits for Picard," and I thought, "Oh well, end credits aren't going to spoil anything. It's just going to be music. I'll give it a listen," because I was interested to see, because at that point they'd just manipulated the Picard theme tune, so they did it for season 1, season 2, and I thought, "Oh, let's just have a listen," and then I was like, "This must be a fake. Like this can't be the actual theme tune. Someone's just put the first contact theme over the end credits, blah blah blah." And then I watched episode 1, and then I was like, "This is something special. This is going to mean something. This is going to be poignant." And then we found out all the way through the 10 episodes that every bit of the end credits meant something and was relevant and was so.
It was like a little mystery.
It was
like,
mystery
where we were trying to work out, like, oh, what could happen, and then when it happens, we're like, oh, why didn't we get that? Like, why didn't we work that out?
But even as far back as episode 1, when you're looking at like the Fleet Museum LCARS, where it's just like U.S.S. Voyager, U.S.S. Excelsior, and you're just like,
Defiant,
are we going to see Voyager? Are we going to see the Defiant? What's this? And it's just like those tiny little teasers that kept us like baiting and just kept us thirsty for more for the next week. And weekly episodic shows get a lot of stick, where it's just like, oh, just release them all in one bulk and let's just have fun. This is one of the shows where weekly worked, and it built up that traction, it built up that hype, and it built up that discourse all around the show for those 10 weeks, where it's just like, what's going to happen? What are the theories? And I mean, look at the sheer explosion last year of podcasts, of video reviews. I mean, our show exploded because of Picard. You look at Spectrum Sanctorum, which is now Captain's Quadrant. You look at well, obviously not the Shuttle Pod show, because that's just its own unhinged entity. But the explosion of like the popularity of Trek culture that Sean does, where it's just they went from 240,000 to nearly 300,000 subscribers because of Picard and everything they did, and it's incredible that Star Trek was reinvigorated so early in 2023, and then everyone was like, when it finished, everyone was like, okay, two things: one, legacy now, because we saw John Delancey right at the end with Jack Crusher, and everyone was just like, did we need more? And then two, they were like, how can the next series possibly top this? How can Strange New Worlds top this? How can Prodigy, how can Lower Decks or Discovery top this? And there was that anticipation, there was that anxiety that like, this is as good as it's going to get.
But then they did it. Like that's the scary thing. They genuinely managed it, and
But before we got there, though, one criticism: how poorly Paramount handled First Contact Day. Now, for those that don't know, First Contact Day is April 5th of every year. It's the Star Trek equivalent of May the 4th. April 5th, 2063 in the Star Trek universe is when humans make first contact with Vulcans. So Trekkie sort of adopted that date, so it's a day to celebrate Star Trek. Yes, there is a Star Trek Day that Paramount forces on us in September, which is like the first air date of the original series, but many regard First Contact Day as Star Trek Day. And everyone was highly anticipating, like, ooh, are they going to announce Star Trek Legacy? Are we going to see a bit of Section 31? What's going to go on? Nothing. Zip. Absolute radio silence. A few messages from people here and there, but nothing. And you're thinking, you own possibly one of the biggest IPs on the planet, and you have nothing for the day. What are you doing? No merchandise, no nothing. That's my only criticism so far of 2023.
Let's not get us started on the merchandise. I mean, we've been wanting the Moopsy plushies for so long. I want my Borg salamander, damn it.
I will say, non-official, but it is fan sets. The day that the series finale of Picard aired, where are we? fan sets were like, oh, do you want the actual com badge from the last episode? Here you go, ready for print. This is the fastest I have ever bought something in my entire life. Like, I didn't care how much it cost. I was like, want, and I was straight on to buy now, because I was like, there's no merchandise for Picard season 3. That's coming out. I'm having it. Same with the uniform.
That was a strange thing. I was in HMV the other day, and they had like the full box set for Picard. They had like Picard as a box set of all 3 seasons, and then they had like sort of just Picard season 3. But it's not called season 3; it's called the final season. That makes me a bit sad, because I'm like, but it could have been the first, you know.
But
it would have been good if it was the first. But it was the idea of just being like wanting to buy it, because that's the only sort of official merch there is for it, you know? Like,
here's
there are
the question,
t-shirts, there aren't plushies.
Here's the question, though. Is it the corrected version of Season 3? Because Paramount released Season 3 with unfinished CGI.
Did they?
On Blu-ray. And then Paramount had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars reissuing fixed CGI Blu-ray discs of a certain, I think it was episode 10.
Wow.
Because what they had done, and I saw this in my copy when I watched the advanced screening of episode 10 compared to the one that was on Paramount Plus. There was 2 different versions of the opening shot of the Enterprise D just before we see Anton Chekhov, which was a great tribute to Anton Yelchin with Walter Coyne. And there was 2 shots of the Enterprise D. One was unfinished and one was polished. And there were 2 completely different angles and everything like that. They released season 3 with the unfinished one, so then they've had to get everyone to contact them so they could reissue a patched disc.
Yeah, didn't they have to change the lighting?
Sorry.
Didn't they have to change the lighting too? Wasn't it too dark, so they had to go back and re-edit stuff?
Yes, that was the only criticism of Picard season 3. But the justification from Terry Matalis, for me, was very clever. Where it's just like everything is shot in 8K, and the episode is transmitted in 4K. And if everything is adequately lighted, if everything is adequately lighted like it was in TNG, DS9, and Voyager, you would see so much more unnecessary detail in the LCARS, in the floors, and everything like that it would spoil the magic for you. So they deliberately reduced the lighting on set so you could not see it. Very much like how it's very unlikely we will see a Blu-ray remaster of DS9 and Voyager, because when they do polish it up, you do see the glaring production faults, the sets, the polystyrene. Like, there's a scene.
I think the question is, though, do we care?
No.
As fans, like this is the thing. I mean, part of the charm of the original series is going, that is blatantly polystyrene. You know, that is blatantly that is not a real rock.
That is blatantly Gary in a Gorn suit. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like
Gary
the
the
idea of
Ferengi.
seeing DS9 like on the big screen and being like, oh, right, you can see, all that makeup's not on properly, like.
But if you look at season 1 of TNG, it's the same. The remaster of TNG on Blu-ray, you can actually see the duct tape and the Velcro tape that they put on the back of the screen on the bridge to hide the reflections of the studio lights. I don't care.
I love it, though. I think that's cool.
I'd love to see that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care.
This is the great thing. Like, I was lucky enough before Christmas to go and see after Christmas to go and see the new Godzilla -1 film. That is absolutely phenomenal. And like, people were, and it was the first time that I'd seen people go, oh yeah, the CG is a bit shaky in places, but who cares? It's an amazing film.
Yeah.
And I think that's the turning point we need in cinema, effectively, to be like going, story is the important bit. It doesn't matter how fancy the special effects are. And that's what we've had this year with Picard season 3, with Strange New Worlds, with Lower Decks, with nothing else happened. But like the idea of all this stuff where you're just going, the writing is what's important. No one's talking about, oh look, isn't Lower Decks animated really well? Yes it is, but we're talking about the story, and I love that the conversation is that.
Trekkies do like to overanalyze the tiniest of details, but not one Trekkie would say, I can see gaffer tape on the back of that screen, because another Trekkie will turn around and say, yes, because if you've ever worked in TV or film, that is how you dissipate the light, you dumbass.
There's a lot of gaffer tape.
Yeah, and then, like, that is how you do. Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of like, I don't think anyone could criticise that, apart from the flamethrowers in Discovery. But anyway,
Let's not criticize Discovery.
We are not criticizing the Discovery.
Anyway,
I won't talk about Discovery.
We are criticizing the fire risks. So that is why the lights in Picard were dimmed quite a bit. But I mean, the ending, we got another Enterprise, the Enterprise G, which I want. Mike Overton of the Clone Star podcast and designer with Dave Blass, who has worked with Dave Blass, who has sent many LCARS to Dave Blass, has done a lovely Master Systems display of the Enterprise G. Master Systems display is like a cross-section of a ship that shows all the decks. It is beautiful. LCARS Workshop. Google LCARS Workshop. In fact, I'm going to put a link in the chat right now, because this is something you all need to see.
He's gone power mad.
I've gone power mad. I've got a PC that can handle a Chrome tab. It's it is beautiful. It is a cross section of the Enterprise G, and if you can find all the hidden Easter eggs in it from Star Trek Picard, I will give you a cookie. Hint: the DeLorean is in Shuttle Bay too. Also, as well, as a friend of Trekking Up North, he did a personalised certificate ordering me to be captain of the Starship Adequate. Right
That
there.
is awesome.
So as you can see, Captain Michael Adam Goodwill, as by order of Starfleet Command of this date. So it says, by these presents, I hereby constitute and appoint to you to be the captain of the U.S.S. Adequate, Naval Construction Contract 65,418.
I love it.
In
That's
the
awesome.
service,
That's
in the
awesome.
service of Starfleet and the Council of the United Federation of Planets, this vessel is fitted out for exploration of the galaxy, with general mission to seek out new life and new civilizations, to regulate, commence, and to defend our liberty and repel any hostile invasions thereof. You are therefore carefully and diligently to discharge the duty of captain by doing and performing all manner of things thereunto belonging. We strictly charge and require all officers and crew under your command to be obedient, that's you, Graeme, to be obedient to your orders as captain. Furthermore, you are to observe and follow such orders and directions as you shall receive from the future Council of the United Federation of Planets, the Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet Command, or any other superior officer, according to the rules and disciplines of Starfleet and the usage of space, as well as the instructions herewith given into you in pursuance of the trust responded to you. This commission is to remain in force until revoked by this or a future council of Starfleet Command. San Francisco, June 30th, 2402. By
That's
the
really
order,
good, man.
That's awesome.
by
That's
the
awesome.
order of Admiral Kristen Clancy. Admiral Clancy.
Clancy, bloody hell.
Goddamn Clancy, the only good
See,
admiral.
I admittely I need that, but it needs to be a list of all the disciplinary actions taken against me. Like, it's just this massive thing of going, this is why you're here, you know.
So yeah, thank you so
That
much
is so cool.
for Mike from the Clone Star podcast and LCARS Workshop to do that. Please go check out his stuff, guys. He's got loads of free wallpapers.
Mike, you legend.
He's brilliant. Like my
Legend.
PC,
Really-
laptop, and phone, all adorned by LCARS stuff that he has done, and it's all absolutely
Yes, sir, mate.
screen accurate because Dave Blass has provided the files for it.
But to go back to what we're talking about with the year,
That was
it's
our
the
first
idea
tangent of the year, by the way.
It was our first tangent.
Beautiful.
But, what was your favorite part of Picard season 3? Like,
Who's that addressed to?
David.
David.
We've already done yours.
I'll do another one. I don't care.
Yeah, it would have to be. Like I said, it would have to be listening to that music in the end credits for the first episode. I knew we had something special coming. You could argue and say win scenario, maybe set the tone for for the rest of the series because, everyone had we don't like Captain Shaw. He's a dink for a
Yeah.
reason, and then we get that fantastic dialogue and then it changes, everyone's perception of his character and maybe the bounty again. The whole series was fantastic.
Have you heard
I mean,
what they want to do with Todd Stashwick's character if they do get Legacy?
In ECA, was it an emergency
Command hologram? I would love a
exactly.
surly Captain Shaw
so
as
good.
a command hologram. That would be. What do we do, Captain? I don't know. Fix it your fucking self.
I love that they're just like, yep. I think it'd be so good, but I think it's like with all the shows we've had like last year, it's a testament to like, serial, like, things being released week after week works because I found that like people stop talking about stuff where they just binge it in a day. Like, I kind of dislike it where like with, Stranger Things and stuff, where you have it where by the time you get up in the morning, there's someone who's watched the entire series because they got it, they watched it at midnight, they watched the whole thing, and then it's kind of done and there's no speculating. Whereas we were trying to work out who the villain in Picard season 3 was going to be. We were like loving every episode of Lower Decks and being like, oh, how's it going to go? What is this mysterious ship and stuff? And yeah, I kind of like it. Like, it's frustrating to be like, oh, I've got to wait a bloody week for more of this. But like, no, like, David, do you feel like it worked better that way, being like, serialized?
It did. Like, this is probably the first maybe show we've ever had where we've had 40 plus years of fans, all bringing back the original crew of a show that we, haven't seen since when did TNG go off the air? 96?
94, and then Nemesis was 2002, so it was over 20 years.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, like we've never really had that. We never had that in any of the Star Wars stuff. This is the first time this is the first show that's brought the entire crew back together for so long, right?
It was also
it's what Disney should have done to their original characters.
It was also though it was a testament that like they didn't have to change anything and that they could just see everyone wanted Picard to be just TNG continued, and to an extent it was, but it didn't feel the same. This was just like, this is just a 10-hour TNG movie, and it is absolutely brilliant. And I think the thirst for more of the next generation era, and I think with everything going on in the world, I think having something like that instills hope, and it's like, hey, there is an actual future and stuff like that, and it's just people want that style of show, that style of storytelling now more than ever. And I think Picard showed the world that like, yeah, we've still got it, and this is what people want. And it's annoying, and not to be negative, but it is annoying that Paramount has just stayed completely and utterly radio silent on the whole thing, where it's just like, the fans want it. The fans really want this. Strange New Worlds got a series commission after 29,000 signatures, and look how successful that has been. What makes you think that you could not replicate that again? You have got the crew, you have got the crew behind the scenes, you've got Terry goddamn Metalis, who is an expert in this, who has clearly proven he can do this. What are you waiting for? It will sign its own checks.
Like I was saying earlier, that's why I get depressed whenever I see it referred to as the final season, because I'm just going like, no, but you can retcon that, but now it's on a box, And I'm just like, oh, couldn't you just say season 3?
Well, no, it's the final season of Picard, not the final season of The Next Generation.
It just didn't feel like we had 3 seasons of Picard. We had like whatever season 1 was, where it was just going like, I don't know, that thing where it kind of goes, oh, do we have to use Picard in this? We want to tell this story. Do we have to use Picard? Like, it felt a bit like that. Now I sort of watch it back, and it feels like going, hang on, the whole thing should have been far more next gen, like you're saying, from the beginning. But at least we got the astonishing season 3.
But when they commissioned Picard, they were like, right, we just want Picard. We don't want the entire crew. It is not about the entire crew. It is Picard's journey. This is how we are going to do it, and we are going to set it up. We are going to do this. And then it clearly showed very quickly that it didn't work. And then it was like, so what do we do? And then Terry Matalas came in, and it was like, bring back the crew. Bring back the ensemble. Star Trek has always been an ensemble cast, not just one character. Yes, it's Picard, but it's not just one character. And it worked.
Trek isn't one character.
It never is.
That's the joy of it. It's why in like Strange New World season 2, which we'll get onto, I guess, is the
Sorry,
fact
if my
of like
chair's creaking, I do apologise.
But it's why you can just have episodes without Pike and just be like, oh, it works. It still works without Pike in there. You know, you can have like DS9 without Cisco, or like Voyager without Janeway, or where Janeway's just like a tiny little character in a particular episode.
How dare you call
That's
her a
the joy
salamander.
of Trek. It is an ensemble, whereas they kind of went, no, it's just Picard. Like, that's the important bit about Next Gen. And it's like, no, it's not.
No. Moving on, though, from the epicness that was Star Trek Picard, we then go into Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, and whoo boy, there was a lot to live up for. Yeah, there was a lot to live up for Strange New Worlds Season 2. We had an immense Season 1. How were they going to top it? Admittedly, me and Science Officer Synoiz, the first episode, we did think was a bit weak. But good, but still a bit weak.
Well, I'm trying to work out now if I was going like, hey, it's a bit weak, but then in comparison, like the build on the series just keeps getting bigger. So in hindsight, I prefer that they started with a sort of slightly weaker episode so that it could just build into the insanity that it is.
We did get a really, really good quote, though. I would like the ship to go now.
I just love it after all the stuff, like all of the like all of the famous lines and stuff that we get. And obviously we got 7. Well, we didn't get to hear 7s at the end of Picard season 3.
No.
But then I would like the ship to go. It's just
it was brilliant. But
you and my friends worked on those first couple of episodes, and they'd said Ethan Peck was so fantastic with everybody.
really.
he's very much like you, though. He is a hardcore Star Trek fan. So he's very much like, oh yeah, I loved it. You know, this is what Spock used to do, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like really heavily into Star Trek, and it really does show in the way he behaves and his mannerisms as Spock, as a young Spock. I think though with Strange New Worlds, a lot of us wanted to know what happened to Una in that first episode, and we got nothing. And then a lot of us thought, well, maybe Ad Astra per Aspera should have been episode 1, and then this one should have been episode 2. But upon review, I'm like, no. It sort of built up the anticipation that Pike has gone to do this. This is the thing that the Enterprise's crew is doing. And then obviously when the Ad Astra per Aspera comes around, it's just like, holy shit, like that episode blew me away. Like after the high of Picard, and then to see, oh well, we're going to have a courtroom drama, then it's like, no, this is a Star Trek courtroom drama, which is always good.
The amount of memes about sort of going like, you know, it's like, you know, like Star Trek fans, and it's like massive explosions and big space battles and stuff, and they're like going, and then it's like a courtroom episode. Yes, you know?
But it was.
But it's true. It's literally
so
they are the best
done.
episodes of Trek.
Yeah, it was so
The
well done.
The writing, the acting. Yep.
It was. It just. Yeah, like the best.
It was
of
worth the
Star.
wait.
It was.
I know we weren't keen on the first. Well, we loved the first episode, but we just didn't like it as much as season 1. But it's the idea of to be rewarded in this way, like we do in season 2. Like it was just. Like how good, like the lawyers, like acting was just she
was incredible.
Yeah, and I just love
great.
that like what we're getting a lot in Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds is characters that they can reuse. We're getting these amazing characters where you're just going, I can't wait to see them again. Like, you know, and she's definitely one of them where you're just going, please just keep her in reserve and bring her back at some point. You know, I love that she exists in the lore now.
Another Dick Admiral.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, another Dick Admiral.
Well, you mean the Hood?
The Hood, yes, from Thunderbirds. Oh my god, I forgot about that. I was so tempted. I remember now. I was so tempted to put in the Hood because we used to have when Trekkin Up North was still doing Strange New Worlds, it was the old layout, so it wasn't the adequate, and it was like a film reel, and I was just so tempted just to insert ever so quietly the Hood going along the film reel just to see if anyone had picked up on it. But yeah, he really
We'd have to have a drink whenever the Hood appears.
Oh no, I'd be dead.
Every time the wheel goes around.
It showed what Star Trek was about, that it wasn't all about pew pew, space go boom, quiffs. It was intelligent, thought-provoking drama that parallels modern society in a way that's not rammed down your throat. Where it's just like, yeah, these issues are happening right now, but it doesn't do it in a way it's just like, look, this now, and it's just like it just did it in a way where it's just, and for me it's like, shit, man, that is what Star Trek is all about. That is what Star Trek has been all about since 1966, and since that that episode aired, there was a ton of memes where it was just like, oh, why Star Trek got so political? When did it get so political? And everyone just went, September 1966, you dumbass. It's always been political.
Yeah.
Like, it's always challenged race, gender, inequality. It just did this.
Yeah.
This is, and again, we are not here to take a dump on Discovery, because Discovery has got its merits. It's got its flaws, it's got its positives. But the disparity between the writing in Discovery and how they deal with those issues and how the writing in Strange New Worlds dealt with it is night and day. And they should really take the cues from Strange New Worlds on how to deal with it, because it was masterfully done. And the plot twist right at the end with the rules where Una has to claim asylum. She wants to ask for asylum and then she's safe. And it was a brilliant get out clause, and I think the acting all the way through, Rebecca Romijn was brilliant, Ethan Peck was amazing, Anson Mount, for however many seconds he was in, was amazing,
which is a testament to the episode, because we got a full episode with him in the first one, wasn't it? We got a
not
full
the first
one.
He was out in the first one.
The debut season.
Oh, okay.
The
debut season. Yeah, he was obviously
Strange New Worlds.
He was out for the first few episodes because his wife had a baby.
You look great with the beard, though.
Oh,
you look great with the beard in that first episode.
He can stir my loins unnaturally.
He doesn't stir mine; he fully blends mine.
To see him, to talk to him, meet him face to face, shake his hand, it was an unbelievable experience. Not because it's just like, oh, you're Captain Pike. It's like, he's such a wonderfully nice and down to earth person, and it's like, that's, you know they say never meet your heroes, never meet this, and he was just a regular dude. He was just having fun, and it's like, he's a Trekkie as well. And I remember he was talking about, he did when they were doing the open monologue for Strange New Worlds before it aired, and it was during the time of the pandemic, so he was in his basement, the sound recordist was in their basement, and then there was something else, there was a producer, everyone was all over the country, and he made them stay there for 8 hours just to record the lines, because he wanted to do it perfectly, because he said, this is Star Trek, this is what I want to do, and I want to do it right. And again, he's one of those where when he saw the captain's chair, he welled up, and he got very emotional, because it's like, this is the bridge of the Enterprise. I am the captain of the Enterprise.
Yeah,
and it must
be arguably you haven't seen the other actors for previous shows have that kind of feeling, right? Because they weren't really Star Trek fans, really, right?
Well, they were too close to it. I think they were like, it was too sort of still. Like a lot of them are like, oh, well, we saw the original series, or, oh, I quite liked it, kind of thing. But then we've had enough time to go, oh, we've seen all of it, like it's.
But I think a lot of actors have done it retrospectively. So if you look at Connor and Dom, where they've rewatched those shows and they're like, I get it, and I wish I got it when I was there to fully appreciate it. And this is why a lot of us, David, are in awe of you, because you are a Trekkie and you have been there. And it's like, I really
God.
can't comprehend how you must have felt being there.
So I got him. So I originally I was supposed to play in Orion in the Rigel 7 episode, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
So they put out a casting call originally saying we need somebody to play in Orion, blah blah blah. Didn't say which episode, so I don't know if it was the TOS episode or the Rigel 7 episode. But I think I had scheduling issues with my previous job at the time, so something happened in between. But then I got the offer to do the Wounded Soldier, but it didn't say what. It didn't say Klingon, Wounded Soldier, Starfleet, Wounded Soldier, nothing. So the minute leading up to everything, you had to do COVID testing. You had to do COVID testing left, right, and center before fittings, before the actual show. Because again, Canada had obviously a lot stricter restrictions.
This was
than some other countries
2022,
did, right?
wasn't it?
Correct. Yeah. So one COVID test, you're gone. So I was trying to avoid people left, right, and center, right? So like, this is Star Trek. This isn't just a regular job. This is my childhood dream.
Yeah.
Like, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
There's me right there in 1996.
Oh, it's gonna be
wearing a date.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think the green screen's got
Wearing a data.
The green screen's freaking out, but it's like we can see.
Yeah,
it.
we see
There
it.
we
Yeah.
go.
Wow.
So there's me, wearing a data outfit in 1996.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There we go.
You know,
we can see
That's
it.
incredible.
Exactly. So, walking into the wardrobe place for the first time, and so when I was there, you walk in, everyone's behind masks. I think Bernadette Croft, I think she was doing my costume fitting at the time, but everyone was behind N95s, so it was hard to tell. But you see the red uniforms, you see the gold uniforms, the blue medicals, the white medicals. I'm like, holy hell, I've just made it. This is real. I'm here. Even on their whiteboards, you saw the pips for ensign, lieutenant, commander, admiral, whatever. I'm like, this isn't Halloween. I'm really here. I teared up.
Wow.
Because I think of this because my grandma made me this costume, and unfortunately she passed away during the pandemic about a year before we started doing Strange New Worlds. So it made me emotional, right? Like, I wish she could have been there to see me wear the real thing, because she made that for me. So that made it extra emotional as well too. It's surreal. It really was.
That's amazing.
My only regret is I never got to see the Enterprise Bridge. I wanted to see the Enterprise Bridge.
I bet that was really under wraps. Like,
I think it was behind
securely
doors
kept.
that I
Yeah.
couldn't see.
Yeah, that's it. That was my only criticism of Picard season 3. So Liz, and I'm going to butcher the name, and I do forgive me, Liz Krakowski, who was the set designer for Picard season 3, who
Thank you.
meticulously recreated the Enterprise D bridge with Doug, with Mike, with Denise, with Dave, with all the crew, and they did it like in such a way where it's like it was 1-to-1 perfect, but also fitted for a 16:9 ratio, so it was slightly bigger than what it should be. But once that had finished in 2022, early 2022, and this was in Santa Clara, it wasn't at Melrose at LA, it was at Santa Clara Studios, Paramount just took it down. And Paramount were going to dispose of it until Dave Blass, the hero that is Dave Blass, kicked up so much of a fuss and got really, really angry with them that he convinced them to put it in storage. And to this day, I'm thinking, you have got the bridge of possibly, even beating the original series, the most famous bridge set in all of Star Trek, and not one of you has gone, should we put it on display and pay people? Should we exhibit it? Should we? No, well, let's just leave it in a storage locker in Santa Clara.
I'd pay to see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's almost like they're not very good at businessing.
It's sort of like, even between
everything we're seeing,
even like, I mean, yes, you're never going to get the Enterprise D ever again. That's fine. They could have a dedicated lot somewhere where it's just like, here is the bridge of the Enterprise. But even like in between productions of Strange New Worlds, they could have like a month after it's wrapped and say, hey guys, in Toronto, where we filmed Strange New Worlds, here is the bridge of the Enterprise. If you want to pay, it's open for a month. Here you go. Imagine the money they would make.
It would be great because, like, as we saw from you going over there, you were just like going, "Have my money, show me the things, give me the merchandise."
I saved up so much money to go there, and there was nothing there, and I'm like,
how much Top Gun Maverick stuff did you get?
None.
Oof.
I literally walked out of Paramount Studios. And I remember the tour guide, he was like, what did you buy? And I was just like, I've bought a pen. That was it. That was it. And like, I had saved up, and I mean, no joke, I had saved up thousands to go over there because I was like, by the time I get to Los Angeles, I will spend all my money in Paramount Studios and not one bit of Star Trek.
Isn't it weird?
This is the biggest. This is one of the biggest. This arguably the biggest franchise besides Star Wars in the world, and they're not doing anything with it.
I mean, take heed from Warner Brothers with Harry Potter. They have an entire, what used to be a working studio dedicated to Harry Potter. They've had to extend and expand their working studio because they can never regain what they've used for Harry Potter.
They just lost that. They're like, oh well,
yeah.
we
So
can't use that again.
But even to this day, it is still immensely popular. Now imagine, and I know Paramount's in talks with mergers to Warner Brothers, but imagine Warner Brothers go, hey, you've got this like really good IP. Why don't you just like recreate the sets and have like a major studio tour?
Yeah,
imagine that.
Yeah, I'd go to that. You know, I'd love to do that, and all of the merch, like you would, like you do what you did, where you just go in with loads of cash and be like, "Where is the merch? Oh, it's a pen with Star Trek on. I'll buy it. Oh, it's a bookmark. Okay, I'll grab it."
Also,
they're just not.
Here is me in 1996 at Kronos. In the
Kronos.
Klingon Chancellor's chair. That is awesome. That is what passed for a haircut in 1995.
My word.
Holy crap.
I'm just glad that they had bowls back then.
You bellend. But yeah. I mean, we had really good episodes. I mean, Under the Cloak of War was the Siege of AR 558 for this generation, with less action, but it was arguably, again, one of the best episodes of Strange New Worlds. We got a really deep backstory between Chaplin and Mbenga.
I remember when we were initially talking about Strange New Worlds, and I was on the fence about Mbenga, how I was saying that I loved all the characters, but I wasn't sure about Mbenga. Like, you know, I was just going like, oh, I'm not really that sure. I don't know if I can sort of, like, you know, get used to the voice, because he's got this kind of like, not raspy, but you know, this sort of like you know, in the first series where he sounds like he needs to cough, and I'm just going to just let it out. Just
like he's very quiet, like he's trying to withhold something, and he's just he's very and talking like this. Yeah.
Jumping from that, what I was saying then, to just going, oh my god, Mbenga is amazing. Like, there is no one on the Strange New Worlds cast that isn't absolutely essential to it, and that they keep bringing characters in, like, you know, where we're like, who is this person? We want to know more about this person. And it's, you know, the polar opposite of things like Discovery, where I'm like going, oh, that person's there, you know, like. And actually, I need to ask you, David, when you were on the set, did you get to sniff Mbenga? There was. That's what I would have done. I would have just got fired.
I was there with Mbenga.
Okay.
So I was there with Mbenga. I think they were shooting the part where you see all the dead wounded soldiers, all the soldiers, you know, all the special forces, when you see everybody's corpses and everything. I was supposed to, I think, be put in one of those like capsules to show like I was killed off, but they decided to not do that.
But
I think because the prosthetics you didn't exactly.
The only red shirt to survive, guys.
Yeah,
bring me back, please.
Well, we don't see you die, so you know.
Yeah, exactly. I survived. Not many people can say they survived the Klingons. So I was there with Mbenga. Clint Howard, and Jess Bush. Jess Bush was fantastic with everybody. Like there
Mm.
was a lot of kids because again, you saw everybody getting beamed up, all the war veterans and everybody, right? Jess Bush was fantastic with everyone. She was great with the kids, and we were there for long days too. Like it was hot. That AR wall puts off a lot of heat, and you still had to wear N95s when you're shooting and stuff like that too, right? But the etiquette of being a background actor, you can't talk to the actors unless they talk to you first.
Yeah.
So there's Babs right there, right to me, and trying not to nerd out because that episode where he put his daughter in the transporter just aired from season 1.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say, oh my God, that was a great episode. Your acting was fantastic. I wanted to say that, but then I'm like, no, you're gonna get kicked off and sent home. Don't get blacklisted now. But they were great. They all were great. Like the episode's gonna go down in time. It proved a war episode that it didn't need to be like AR-558 with all the fighting. All the dialogue spoke for itself.
Yeah, like
really
the only fighting we really see in it is basically Umbenga going nuts, which is brilliant. I think.
But then we got
Jess Bush was great too. Her stuff as well too was fantastic.
Well, that's what's great about it. It's an Umbenga episode, but it's also a Chapel episode. It's there, and it's also an Ortega episode. It's this idea of like it builds on all of the characters in this wonderful way, and like, I can't believe how much I love Strange New Worlds and how just the pinnacle of writing it is.
And the guy that played the Klingon was great.
Yeah, like really good. Just this idea of and it's just wonderful. But I was going to ask you though, as a background actor, how much insight did you get on the episode? Like, did you get the script, or were you just like,
no?
What are we doing? What is going on here? Oh, we're trying.
They just told you a backstory.
Okay.
Exactly, like your background actor, you don't see the scripts. I think a lot of they do that just so background actors aren't breaking non-disclosure stuff like that. But yeah, it wasn't too much. Like we weren't used for quite a few hours, so it was a lot of sitting around doing nothing. But I think the ADs knew very quickly that I was a big Star Trek fan, because I asked them, can I just sit here and watch? They're like, yeah, we can tell this isn't a job for you. Just stay out of the way, but enjoy. But I know you guys have been wanting to ask me quite a question for a while, right? The patch on the U.S.S. Enterprise patch on the shoulders.
This really peeved me off, because I'm like, this is.
Well, I didn't notice. So
this is during the Klingon War, where, as we found out in Discovery season 2, the Enterprise was sent away with other major flagship vessels, like possibly other Constitution classes, where it's just like, we want to send these away in case anything happens. These are the best and the brightest. We don't want them anywhere near in case anything happens. So as far as we found out, the Enterprise was nowhere near the war as it was happening. And yet your patch and everyone else's patch on the planet had U.S.S. Enterprise NCC 1701. Now, for me, working in TV, working in film, I know it's just like, it's a patch. No one's ever going to see it. We don't care. Just put it on because it's got the Delta symbol. But then the Trekkies are going, it's got the Enterprise patch on it. Why is the Enterprise? Yeah, and like as we know, Sean is a uniform hound, and he really dissected Strange New Worlds, where it's just like, that's the wrong uniform, that shouldn't be there, that should be the K's uniform, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, as great as Strange New Worlds is in an era of 4K television and where everything is shot in 816K, those details do seep through, and it's like, it's annoying. It's not annoying where it's like it takes me out of it, but it's just like, why was that? And
is there an explanation, David, that you were privy to?
Was it just costumes and budget or anything?
That's what I'm guessing. To be honest, I know you guys have wanted to ask me that for a long time now. Honest opinion, when I saw that patch and it said U.S.S. Enterprise, I'm like, oh my God, it's U.S.S. Enterprise. I get to wear a uniform that has the U.S.S. Enterprise, not the U.S.S. Cayuga, not the U.S.S. Defiance. Enterprise. I nerded out and I did not give two shits.
Yeah. I like that.
That was a real thing, and it said U.S.S. Enterprise. I said, yes.
We won't ask if anything got taken away from the set. What I will ask though is
they were like
we would
were like vultures. No. So
we would never take from a set.
You have to give to get paid, you have to give like these vouchers out.
Yeah.
This is kind of like how they track everything for you guys, especially with extras. You give your everything back, your costumes, and then yada yada yada. But I accidentally did walk off with a phaser off on my hip, and I didn't realize that. But then they caught it very quickly, which I would never would have got past wardrobe anyways.
That's like $5,000 a pop, guys.
Bloody hell.
The boots I heard are like $9,000.
What?
Or $7,000, whatever they are. I heard a crazy fee for the boots because they all had the Starfleet logos on the ankles, right?
Not even the company that makes it for retail charge that much. That's insane.
There's something like that, and you never would have walked past wardrobe because they would have got it in 2 seconds.
Do you reckon it would be like shopping trolleys? You know how they're magnetized, that when you try and go out of the thing, the wheels lock up? Is it like that? Where you just physically can't move off the set with the boots on?
Yeah, it was crazy expensive. Because I think a friend showed me like they were selling these online, and I heard it recently on another thing. Like, the boots were so crazy expensive. I'm like, not surprised. I'll give one thing though, those boots are absolutely comfortable.
Well, they have to be because of the amount of time you spend in them. I think they did learn from Discovery, because obviously the one pieces in Discovery, they were just like, these are not really that comfortable and they're quite form fitting. I
had that issue as well too. Those armor vests for the soldiers, so just like this as well too. It's a button up here. Other side. So on the back of the Strange New World costumes, it's a button up on the back. So good luck trying to use the washer. Good luck trying to use the washroom. You got. I swear, I almost pulled my shoulder out just trying to unzip it.
The one thing they really need to learn is like, and again, this goes back to merchandise, because even as early as late as Enterprise, with budget reasons, they were just using like off the shelf toys. Like when they did In the Mirror Darkly, I believe, was it Mirror? I can't remember the Enterprise one. It was
the original series.
No, the Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise. I think it was in the Mirror Darkly part 1 and 2.
Mirror Darkly, I believe.
Yeah, they use these, which is the Art Asylum Diamond Select TNG communicators.
Perfect.
I love that might be cheaper than making their own.
It literally was. I mean, but it was the era of the VFX budget where they were just like, should we fabricate a new ship? No, Revel, AMT, Playmates all make these ships. Let's just use them. And they would just buy off the shelf for $30, make them, and it was actually cheaper, and they would save a fortune. Now, if only Star Trek had merchandise that they could reduce costs and also make... But
I mean, imagine if they released those boots. If they
did.
Went like, hey,
they did. No. The Strange New World boots are actually available.
Wow.
Let me just check the price. I'm powering up Google. The Adequate has had a system upgrade.
I think they're going for like $700, $900.
Bloody hell.
Holy
That's crazy.
Shit. 429 US.
Ooh.
So that's
like almost double for us.
That's like 370 English pounds. They are
English pounds.
That's like $700 Canadian.
They are Fluvog Star Trek Strange New World boots. Oh my god, they do look kinky. Smooth leather and elastic. Gunmetal finished Delta insignia with an inside zip, leather ankle harness. Ortholite hybrid molded insole. Are you enjoying this, everybody? The ASMR.
I'm glad you're talking about boots here, because if someone had just tuned in and missed that preamble,
they are also available. They are also available in medical white as well.
That's amazing.
389
They were comfortable.
Add to cart.
Probably the most comfortable boots I've worn.
Well, there you go. So
no, it sounds amazing, like getting to hear that background, like because that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people who haven't been backstage or sort of on a set don't realize the reality of it, like you say, which is just a lot of waiting. Like it's literally just like, oh, just sit down and entertain yourself for like 4 hours until the next thing is set up, and it's like, oh, okay.
this is,
Like,
I mean,
how long were you there for? Like,
So I was there about, I think it was 3 days altogether. Something happened on the first day, so it dragged on longer than it should have been. So, but
Someone
again,
nicked the
it
boots.
was
they got away with the boots, and they had
was,
to send the guys out for them. They're like, ah.
and it was the end of August as well too. So it was getting hot, and those outfits were not. Yeah, it was. But again, I said to myself, suck it up, man. Like, this is Star Trek. You may never get here again. Enjoy it, right? Because like what they said in Generations, it may never come again.
Yeah.
100%.
What I wanted to ask though, because I know you had to wait such a long damn time, how did it feel seeing yourself on TV in an episode of Star Trek for the first time?
If anybody doesn't know this, as an extra, you are meant to blend in with the background. You're not the main actor. You might not even see yourself. You might see yourself like, boop, that's it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I was like, when I did this thing for a wounded soldier, recently it seems like I'm getting pushed to the front of the camera a lot, like I was on certain other projects as well too. Maybe it's a sign of things to come.
This boy is handsome.
Like,
I think they were. The editors were just like, okay, he's kind of hot. Okay, let's just use this shot. You know,
like, I'd like to wear this for season whatever season you guys are going to start using these uniforms. I'd like to wear this on set as well too, please.
When we do Wrath
like
of
to wear this
Khan,
one day.
when we do Wrath
if
of
you get
Khan,
that, would you nick that? Would you at least nick that one if they gave you?
Holy shit! I'm gonna have to get a monster maroon, aren't I, for the movie reviews? Oh no!
I'd work for free for this if I could take the real one home. Just give me the uniform.
I don't need the paycheck. Just let me get off the set with this.
Oh god, they could pay me in shit.
Like, it's special. Like, you never know. You might be just a wisp. You might, like, there were a lot of other people there with, as well, with me as well too. That was the one production that I've been in all this time now. I did not want to get cut. So I always look back and to say my grandma couldn't see me there to wear the real thing, but she was up there to make sure I wasn't getting edited out.
Yeah, I like it.
That is going on my tomb. That is going on my tombstone when I am gone. That photo from Stranger Worlds, that is going on my tombstone when I'm gone.
I
loved it though, because I was just rewatching the episode like before we started, and I was like, and it was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme of me just sitting there being like, just pointing at the.
It's been funny because I've wanted to save this for you guys as well too. That prosthetics you see in the photo, I was hoping that was going to be my big entry into Star Trek, right? It was not. It was the only scene where they're in Benga's in the sonic shower having this PTSD flashbacks, and then there's just me on the transporter, and that's all it was for. I'm like, really? Oh no! Like, come on, guys!
All that work,
Yeah.
It
I was hoping
happens.
that was gonna be my big grand entry.
It really happens because I mean, me and David have exchanged war stories because when I used to do this, it was like 14-hour days. I don't think people who've never done it can't comprehend where it's like it's long, but it's long because you're either just waiting for a large majority of the time, or you are working constantly with no breaks. Coming from, because you're the actor, when I did it, I was cameraman, gaffer, runner, anything, and it's like you don't stop, and you do need a comfortable pair of shoes, and 14 hours will fly by, but for actors it does drag a hell of a lot, because you might be needed for a scene at 9:30 in the morning, and then you might not be needed until 6 o'clock at night again, but you can't leave. You have to wait there, and it's I I would do it for Star Trek. I don't think I could do it for anything else. If that makes sense.
It's that idea though, the amount of books you must read, like the amount of books you must get through, just sort of do, like.
I have mad ADD, so I cannot sit around and read a book. But I think I had my Xbox. I think I had my Xbox controller with me, so I was cloud streaming Xbox Game Pass to kill some time.
Yeah.
Because there were some people there, like some of the other, the guy that was the Vulcan in that episode, when I think he was getting his ears on before me, so I think he was there like 5 o'clock in the morning. So a funny story, I nerded out because he was in the chair right next to me, and there's him getting his Vulcan ears put on and his makeup, and I'm like, holy fuck. Like, this is not Comic-Con. This is not Halloween. This is a guy really playing a Vulcan, and this is real. I'm just nerding out, man. Like, this is a dream. This is a dream come true.
It's such a dream, and I'm so happy that you got to live it, and I sincerely, deeply hope you are back in Star Trek in the near future, because Star Trek is in Toronto. Yeah, Star Trek is in Toronto.
Yeah, wear this, please.
if anyone is working on Star Trek and you are watching this for some bizarre hallucinated,
what are you doing with your life?
What are you doing here? Why are you not at work? Please let this man continue living his dream. Let me continue my dream. Let Synoiz have this dream.
Can you imagine?
We have passports.
They're not that crazy, man.
we have passports.
Like the way I look at it as well too. The King of Jordan was in an uncredited role, just like me in Star Trek Voyager. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me.
100%. Moving on with Strange New Worlds, though, because we did get Subspace Rhapsody, which this was Star Trek taking the biggest risk it has ever done, and no one knew how it would play out, but they smashed it.
Yeah, it worked so well. Like, and that was the worry. And I remember what I said at the time, which was the idea of like, it wasn't ludicrous. Like, we have the Buffy episode, or which is musical, and loads of crazy stuff happens. There's loads of sort of theatrical, sort of musical stuff. Like in this one, everything is like believable. Like, it's like in the big number at the end, you get like a choreographed like dance sequence in the corridors, but that's about as extreme as it gets. And then during like Una's song, she turns off the gravity and they float around. Like, they've even been Star Trek and scientific about the dramatic musical bits, and I just love that attention to detail. It was the most Trek episode doing the most un-Trek thing, and that's just...
It was a hell of a gamble.
Yeah.
It really was a hell of a gamble. We'd had it with Buffy, and everyone was like, Star Trek? Really? But... even I, right up to the point where I was just like, I don't think they're going to be able to pull this off. And wow, I was proven wrong. Even with Anson Mount, who went full Tennessean with his country drawl, and I'm just like, could I not love you anymore? He drives a truck, guys. But it proved everyone wrong, and it proved that even at 57 years old, Star Trek can still break new ground and take a risk when it needed to, and it worked. And then to go, and this is why I love season 2 of Strange New Worlds, because it was tonally shifting on a dime every episode, because you went from Subspace Rhapsody to the season finale that left on a cliffhanger, which to this day is the only thing in years I have gone, for God's sakes, really unhappy that they left it on a cliffhanger, because I was like, because the strike was happening.
Yeah.
So when my brain was like, I can't wait for next year. Oh,
strike. Yeah, that's it. Not knowing when we're going to get the next part of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
And it's like, but at least though, we know that like it's going to be done well. Like, we know that it's in safe hands. We know that at least they're getting paid properly now.
Yes.
The tonal shift throughout the whole series was absolutely phenomenal, and the fact that this is the hilarious fact. You know, when at the end of the year, is it the end of the year? You get your Spotify Wrapped, where it just goes, "Here's what you've been listening to on Spotify." My top 5 artists is just 4 people from the Star Trek soundtrack, from the Subspace Rhapsody soundtrack, because for some reason it lists them all separately, because it kind of goes like, oh, all 3 of the actual songwriters and then the person singing it, and I'm just like, oh, so my top 5 is literally just 4 things, because I listened to the soundtrack that much that I actually listened to songs from the Star Trek musical episode more than other artists, and that's crazy.
My Spotify was pretty much the same. It was like, here is your Wrapped. You listen to 2 hours worth of music, and I'm like, yeah, I need to use Spotify a little bit more. But it was Picard season 3 soundtrack. It was Subspace Rhapsody, and then it was the theme tune for Strange New Worlds. And it's just like, but it did, like you said, Synoiz, it listed everything separately. So it was like, composer, and it's like, it's the same song. Why are you duplicating?
Yeah, then why have you done that? But
yeah,
but I just quite like it that I'm like, oh, so Subspace Rhapsody ruined my Spotify Wrapped, damn it. But yeah, I listened to that like so much, that soundtrack, and that was it, because that was what was scary. It wasn't just whether Star Trek could pull off a musical episode; it's whether the music would be good. And yet we've got songs where we've got people, they're perfectly suited for sort of drag performances and stuff, all kinds of things. Like, people are probably going to be singing these on karaoke is the crazy thing. You could just pick up one of them, I've totally forgotten, I'm the X. Loads of people would probably be singing that on karaoke. Or
I was
whatever.
about to say, at Star Trek Las Vegas, shall we just start singing I'm the X at the karaoke?
Just do what the crazy you need to do.
Luxana Troy or Luxana Snatch. That's what Graham's going to be. I can be Hom.
So we're here.
Aren't you shorter than me though?
I can get platforms. It's fine.
You wouldn't need platforms. You need a step ladder.
Sorry, David. Go on.
Remember where you asked me earlier before we did this to, because I said there was something that was going to make everyone either mad or,
yeah.
Remember that one you told me to save it for the show?
Yeah.
The question.
Oh yeah.
I never finished Subspace Rhapsody.
Did you not like it?
I don't know. I'm not a musical person to begin with. So I will go back to Voyager's episode with the EMH when he's doing that was fine, but I'm not a big fan of the music that's out there to begin with today.
Yeah.
There's music today,
but I'll give one thing though. It was creative the way they did it.
Yeah.
The even fact that they wanted to pull it off.
Oh, you've gone quiet,
boy. Paramount's like, he's dissing Subspace Rhapsody. Good lord.
Your sound has gone, dear boy.
Yeah, what's happened?
Paramount have censored him.
It's a YouTube being sort of.
It wouldn't be Trekking Up North without a slight bit of technical issues.
Is it working?
But it was creative.
Yeah, no,
it was creative.
But that's the joy of Trek. It's the fact of, you can dislike stuff. You can, General Kirky, who we have on the podcast, occasionally, they didn't want to watch it. They were very much in the kind of, oh, it's going to be cringe and it's going to be horrible. And then basically her husband, sat her down and went, no, we're watching this. And then she was like, oh, this is amazing. I really like that. And I hate musicals. And... yeah. And we were like, wow, that's kind of impressive that it's actually made someone who hates musicals like it. But then again, it's the fact of you just being like, oh, this isn't my thing at all. But I like that it's Trek and I like that it happened. And that's how I feel about Discovery, where I'm kind of going, I don't want to, I'm not saying it's rubbish. I'm not saying it's stuff. It's not for me, but I'm glad that the people who like it have it and can enjoy it,
All Trek is good Trek, except when Synoiz reviews it. And I get the voice notes.
The only nitpicks I heard for Subspace Rhapsody, for a lot of people, said that maybe Christina Chong and Celia should have done more of the singing. than the other cast members who can't sing.
Well, Christina Chong
as
is
well.
an actual singer as well, and
Exactly.
her song was absolutely amazing. I mean, like you said, we had Tomorrow, which was a fantastic episode where we did see Laan break for the first time, and we saw that this tough, hard-nosed, augment descendant had feelings. I also wanted to get your guys' opinions on possibly the greatest episode in 20 years, Those Old Scientists.
Well, when we're talking about insane shit Star Trek Strange New Worlds attempted and then pulled off spectacularly.
This filled the bingo card.
Doozy.
Yeah. It was because a lot of us, when they announced it in 2022, where they were like, we're going to do a crossover with Lower Decks, and everyone was just like, but that's animated and you're not. But the way they did it, where they were just like, yeah, it's animated and this isn't. Okay, moving on. And then it was just, it's a portal. And then to just have Jack Quaid thrown into a portal where he's just, hey, you look so real, and then pass out. And that's how they acknowledged it. Very much like they did with the whole Robert Duncan McNeil situation in Lower Decks, where they were just like, how are you going to handle this? This is a 35-year-old debate. Oh, never mind, you've done it.
Just going to do it head first, basically.
Tackle it head first. But for me, where it's just like, it was essentially a Lower Decks episode with a hint of Strange New Worlds, where you just had Captain Pike just like, get these idiots off my ship. These people nerding out. Like I said at the time, Boimler and Mariner were just the Trekkies of the show, nerding out over every tiny little facet, where they're like, oh, the Fleet Museum, when we nerded out, we got to see, there's a little bit of the NX-01 in this, and we can do that. And it's like, and like Mariner nerding out to Uhura and Boimler.
You guys are great, but where's Uhura?
Yeah.
It's one
you good. Where's Uhura? And then Boimler going like, Worf's honor. When he does that,
like,
in the hallway.
But you don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is yet. Oh shoot! And it was just so brilliantly done that now there is even talks of possible future crossovers between Lower Decks and other
they definitely
series.
And I don't want to see that. Let this be a one-off and let it be the perfect.
Yeah.
That's why that's almost where I don't want, like, when they started doing the mirror universes, maybe too much in the other shows.
Yeah.
Keep, like, this will go down as one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek, period. Leave it as it is. Let it be a one-off, and let it be how it was. It was arguably maybe the second greatest episode of Strange New Worlds.
I had a theory.
Or tied up there.
I don't know. I think I disagree, David. It's the fact of like, I kind of think, it would be nice to do it again. Like how we you get like, oh, it's this character came back sort of randomly, because I think they could pull it off again, but it would need a good reason. So it would be horrible if it was just, oh, we're doing it just for fan service. It's the fact of going, it would be, I would be okay with it. But what I was going to ask you is, were you following Lower Decks? Two things. Were you following Lower Decks before this happened? Because obviously I sort of binged it all to get ready for this, because I hadn't watched Lower Decks at the time. And the other thing is, were you watching it? Obviously you were following the show as it came on. As it aired, waiting for your sort of episode to come out, were you just like, what the fuck is happening with this series? You're like, hang on, I'm in a really sort of serious war episode playing a wounded soldier, and we've got this before it,
And that was Jonathan Frakes' episode. Like, I know before that aired, there were rumors of him directing an episode. I was hoping that was going to be the episode I was in, but unfortunately, of course, you want to meet Riker, right? Of course. Here's another thing that's going to get me canceled. I have not watched Lower Decks or Prodigy.
Get out!
I can watch. I have watched every episode of Star Wars Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Rebels. I struggle with the Star Trek shows, animated shows. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic.
I think with Lower Decks, with season 1, it's one of those where and I say this for The Expanse as well, which is one of my favourite sci-fi shows of all time. It's one of those where you must push through the first few episodes and then you get into it, because like I said,
hasn't there been a Trek like that? I mean,
because it's
the first 2 episodes of any Trek show tend to be...
It's at this present moment,
in the Delta Quadrant on a farm.
If we take this point in 2023, right, we have had Picard by Terry Metalis, who's a hardcore Star Trek fan. We have had Strange New Worlds, again, the showrunners, hardcore Star Trek fans. We have then had Lower Decks, Mike McCannon, who is a hardcore Star Trek fan. And like I said to you, David, Lower Decks is a love letter to the Next Generation era, where it's like, here is all the references to the Next Generation era, but we are not going to make a song and dance about it. And when we do, we are going to do it in a way that is hilarious, where it's like, there's a scene in season 3 where the Cerritos goes to Deep Space Nine, but they are trying to kill time. So Ransom's just like, oh, let's just slowly pan round the space station just one more time. So they warp in, they pan round Deep Space Nine, the theme tune plays, and then the helm's just like, should we dock? No, let's just pan one more time, just kill time. And then it plays again, and it does it again, and it's like, it's sort of understanding the fans want to see this, but we're going to do it in a way that justifies it. And it's the same with Voyager. When Voyager comes, and I know I'm spoiling it, but hell, it's in the thing below right there. But it's like, oh yeah, this is the thing. And when we see, because we'll go into Lower Deck shortly, but when we see references, it's just like, yeah, they exist, but it's the era that we're set in. So moving on to the next thing, and then we're going to do this. Oh well, here's Rom. Okay, moving on to the next thing. Here's Deep Space Nine. Yeah, well, you know, that's the space station that we.
The
go
references
to.
aren't the episode. The whole thing isn't. Look, it's an episode about Rom. Like, I think they massively misused Rom and Lisa in that, and that makes it brilliant. That they literally went, "Hey, we got Jonathan Frakes, and we didn't really use him that much," and "Hey, we got sort of Rom back, and we didn't really use him because we don't need to, because we've got a good episode."
I compare it
rather than The Simpsons, where they just go, "Oh, we've got a special guest star, so we don't need a plot for this one," you know.
I compare it though to the Next Generation episode where Sid's in it, Alexander Siddiq. Where Bashir's in a Next Gen episode. No one talks about it. No one references it. No one goes, oh, it's a crossover with DC. Because he's just there. Because he's there to do a job. Because this universe is intertwining and everyone is going to be, you know, everyone's busy and everyone's doing stuff. We just get on with it. That's very much the theme of Lower Decks, where it's just like, yeah, we're 5 years after Nemesis. So, of course, Riker is going to be on the Titans, you know, playing smooth jazz as he's with Anzadi. Of course, Deep Space Nine's still going to be there. Where would it possibly go? Yes, Voyager came back. That's a museum ship. Of course it is. And it sort of doesn't go, look at it. It's just like, they're there. And with Strange New Worlds, it was like, it was the ability, I think it was then the ability of Lower Decks to nerd out in its own fandom without shoving it in its face, where it's like, hey, these are travel back in time. This is exactly how you fans would act if you saw the Enterprise, if you saw, like, when he goes on about the LCARS, the computers, where it's just like, it's a pre-LCARS, and I'm just like, yeah, I would be the same thing if I was there. I would be like, show me RCS thruster control. Oh my God, it's this person. That's how I would behave. And it was like, as I said, Lower Decks is a love letter to the Next Generation. This episode was a love letter to fans, where it's just like, we see you, this is how you would react. But the way they tied everything in to Star Trek Enterprise, and Star Trek Enterprise was referenced all the way through Strange New Worlds, just no one saw it, because the Ready Room had the NX-01, it had the Phoenix, always right there. And then to mention it in this episode where it's just like, you know, Uhura's hero was Hoshi Sato.
That was a big revelation for me. I loved that.
And when they went to, who was it, high school? Was it Travis Mayweather High School? And stuff like that. Yeah. And I'm just like, why have you not mentioned Trip? Please, Trip's tips.
I think I think Stranger Worlds, if they ever did this, I would love to see Jolene Blaylock come back and play an older T'Pol.
So,
just like they did in that crossover episode, the like future episode of when they were fighting the I'd love to bring her, give her a few minutes to shine. She'd be an older T'Pol.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like the idea though that it was like, is she fairly young in
she's
Enterprise?
60 years old in Enterprise.
Yeah.
So she would definitely be there. Yeah. Tangent trekking up north fact for all you viewers out there. There was going to be, in season 1 of Strange New Worlds, an Enterprise character making an appearance.
Really? Oh.
Does anyone know who
I wonder. Is it?
Is it? Wouldn't be T'Pol.
Nope.
Maybe T'Pol.
No. Do you want me to tell you?
I'm gonna say the dog, and I'm like, oh, the dog dies. Oh, shit.
Dr.
It'd be amazing though. If it was.
Dr.
Phlox, the Denobulan, was going to be in Strange New Worlds season 1. However, John Billingsley turned down the role because he felt the role was not suit his character, and he didn't want to be in Star Trek at the time. However, there are now murmurings that potentially he may come back in season 3, and I think it'd be good
to just get him for a bit, like just have him as a cameo.
I think
like
suitable.
we're saying with Lower Decks, where we're just going, oh, we've got Rom for an episode. I think it'd be great just be like, hey, we've gone to a place. Oh, and Phlox is the guy, and that would be amazing.
It's suitable. It's suitable for a few reasons. In beta canon, Captain Archer, Jonathan Archer, Scott Bakula, he passed away the day after, I believe, the Enterprise was launched. The 1701 Enterprise was launched. Dr. Phlox, obviously, Denobulan can last hundreds of years, and T'Pol can last.
That's what happens when you have that many wives and husbands.
Well,
that's it.
It keeps you young.
Why Mormons are immortal, practically.
Immortal.
I suspect.
Immortal.
Immortal.
But I think there's two callings at the moment in Star Trek: DS9 and Enterprise. Both series gained new viewers and appreciation since 2010 when Netflix brought them on board. When they were showed to a wider audience. Enterprise got a really rough deal in North America because it was on UPM, and UPM was just toilet paper. It was awful. It was shoved around so many times, no one really cared. When it was on Netflix, it got a new appreciation where they were like, actually, this is not that bad. It's really quite good. And it went.
It was a good series.
It was an excellent
fantastically
series.
acted.
It was a good series.
It is an excellent
I
series.
like Enterprise. I like Enterprise more than I do Discovery.
Oh, same here. I've got an Enterprise patch ready to sew on when I get the uniform.
And I think Enterprise, the way it ended, needs to be corrected.
It never ended. So it was a holodeck, it's not canon. So
I wanted to ask, before we move on from the thing, I wanted to ask, like, with those old scientists, because you're not a fan of Lower Decks and you hadn't been following Lower Decks, it's great that it hit, that you enjoyed it, like, because you probably just didn't get half the stuff, or like go, who are these characters? But like, did that take anything away, do you reckon, or did you still really enjoy it?
I know Jack Quaid. Like, obviously, I follow Twitter, so I follow everything he does and stuff like that as well too. So I've seen all the tidbits for Lower Decks and Prodigy and all that. I'm glad Prodigy got saved.
Yes, travesty that was.
That was one of the worst. That was one of the worst moments of 2023, definitely for Star Trek.
Yeah.
More what
regardless if you don't watch
stuff happening. Yeah.
I know enough of Lower Decks, obviously, to enjoy the episode. That will definitely go down as one of the best Star Trek episodes ever. It was Strange New World Season 2 has not done a bad episode yet. There's been maybe weak episodes, but it's been a banger of a season.
Yeah.
Speaking of bangers, as David has so eloquently Where am I going with this one, guys? As David mentioned there.
Lee and Adam are in the chat, I'll just point out.
Oh, no. The 145 foot 6 inches tall Viking god that is Adam, who did the Voyager cover for our show, is in the chat.
Oh.
Wow, hello. Yeah, Prodigy.
A kebab coma, so
Kebab coma. That's hopefully not a euphemism.
Put me in a coma with your meat, Adam. There we go. Right.
Okay.
Moving on.
Prodigy got cancelled, which was a huge blow for Star Trek. But this was a product of, again, mismanagement by the fact that it was a good show. It just did not reach the intended audience. It took for Netflix to take it on and air it from Christmas Day, 2023, for people to go, oh wow, Star Trek Prodigy, it's actually quite good, isn't it? Yeah, it's got Catherine Janeway in it, and it's got Chakotay, and it's got, wow, yeah, it's actually not that bad. And it's like, this is what happens when you market your shows and distribute your shows correctly in all regions. So I'm really glad that season 2 will be aired on Netflix, and fingers crossed, if it is a success, which we are hoping it will be, there will be a season 3 of Star Trek Prodigy. But that was a very low point in Star Trek, because we got Prodigy cancelled, and then we got the cancellation of Discovery of Star Trek Discovery ending with season 5, where I have found out as of today they haven't recorded new episodes. They've just inserted scenes into the last couple of episodes to tie the whole series up, and I'm sort of like, I hope they are
not happy
done
about
well. No.
Yeah.
For it to be shoehorned like that, for me, I would say, look, it's cancelled, but here is the budget for one more episode.
Yeah.
Let's do an Enterprise, but not repeat an Enterprise. It's
insult to
do
injury.
Something. Yeah. So everyone, Discovery is a divisive series. We can't deny that. I personally enjoyed season 1 and 2 of Discovery. Season 3 onwards are my least favourite of Star Trek. But all Trek is good Trek, and at least we have got Star Trek and no Trek at all, as I will always say. But the one thing that failed it all the way through, it wasn't the acting, it wasn't the actors, it wasn't the visual effects, it was the writing. Any other sci-fi show, it would have been brilliant. Because it had Star Trek on it, it was immediately divisive, it was vilified by certain subsets of toxic fans, and it had its flaws. But for me, if you were going to cancel a show that's been going for 5 years, that you know it's already wrapped, give them the budget to wrap it up properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the sort of thing of Discovery might not have been the story that we were wanting them to tell, but let them tell their story. Like, let them wrap their thing up. Exactly like we had with Enterprise, where we're like going, hey, can we see the end of the arc? It's like someone coming in and turning your own TV off and just being like, hang on, I was watching that. Like, it's unfair, to not just go, because most things get a season where they get a warning, where they go, hey, I know we said 7 seasons, but actually, they're, and they didn't. Same
but even
as Enterprise, they didn't get a warning to go, oh yeah, cool. No, they didn't even get 4 episodes to wrap it up.
With Enterprise, they found out during the filming of part 1 in The Mirror Darkly. So then the writers' room were like, shit, we have got like a 7-season plan. We were going to do the Romulan War. We were going to do the Birth of the Federation. And then we're like, oh, we're just going to have to do a holodeck. That's the only way. We're going to have to flash forward and do everything like that. With Discovery, it had already finished filming. It was wrapped. Principal photography was done. They were in editing, and then they got the call from Paramount to go, you're cancelled. Now
they've already put Michael Burnham back in a cocoon.
But it's
just like, oh, we can't wake them up this early.
But it shows that
you don't want to.
It's the lack of, excuse the pun, faith that they had, where it's just like, we are going to end you, but we will give you the budget for an episode. Or if push comes to shove, and in an ideal world, we will give you a long trek. So we've got a Section 31 long trek. We will give Discovery a long trek to wrap it up, to bring it to an end, and then once that's done, we can move on with the Starfleet Academy series. They cancelled Discovery, and then announced the Starfleet Academy series, which everyone believes is set in the 31st century. So we're like, so you're not allowing them to wrap up, but then you were continuing in the same era with some of the same characters in the same setting.
It's genuinely weird. Although I will say one thing. I will give them a pass if they just troll us. Like, and the actual scene that they got to add in is literally Riker on the holodeck. Imagine if that's how they end Discovery. They're like, oh, we got to insert one scene in, and it's literally Jonathan Frakes being like, oh, that's how this happened.
No, you know what
I would be like, bridge again.
Well done, you fuckers.
You know what it'll be? You know what it'll be? It'll be Q.
Oh,
it might be
a creative way, yeah.
The trial is just beginning, Michael Burnham, like that, and it just ends, and you're just like,
Where did Discovery go wrong?
Season 3.
No,
I'm putting it there.
No,
For me,
season 2?
it was season 1. It was season 1 for me.
Ooh.
I felt like I have not liked Discovery. Lorca was fantastic. Jason Isaacs was great. It felt like Star Trek that was supposed to be in the 23rd century, but was in the 26th century.
Yes,
and I didn't like that. Like they had this spore drive and all this crazy technology. Like this Deep Space Nine never did that. Enterprise didn't do that.
Yeah,
like it felt like they tried to change something that shouldn't have been changed.
Yes,
I think the fact is, like, you could happily just change a couple of names around and Discovery's not Star Trek anymore, and there wouldn't be a problem. Like, that's the thing. It's this idea of going, oh, you just take those emblems off, you just sort of, they're not called Klingons, they're called something else. And that was the problem. It was like it wasn't buried in the lore at all. Like, it wasn't using all of the resources available. But my main problem was just characters. Like, it literally, like, obviously we joke about it, and you will probably see the fruits of our labor at some point, but the amount of angry voice notes I've sent to Goodwill last year because I was watching Discovery season 2 and 3, and I was like, why is this happening? What's this? Why is the plot like this?
I would be sat at work, and I would be dealing with possibly the worst customer, and Synoiz would send me a message. Synoiz would send me a message, and it would just instantly cheer me up, because all I kept saying to her was, wait until you get to season 3. Wait until you get to season 3. And then he got to season 3, and it was just like, I didn't even have to listen to the note. I just had to look at the runtime of the voice note, and I'm like, he's in season 3. He's in season 3. But it was... For me,
but it's the annoying thing of just going. I was just waiting for them to do stuff with all these characters, like going, "Oh, who's the android woman on the bridge?
Are brilliant.
I can't wait to find out about her. Who's this other person? Who's the woman who got like the cyborg implant in season 1, and then we've never paid any attention to whatsoever. I can't wait for an episode about her. Like we're saying about Strange New Worlds, where it goes, here's an Una episode, here's an Mbenga episode, and then we just don't, and you're just sitting there being like, this guy's husband died and came back to life, and we're not even going to have an episode about how he's dealing with it. We're just going to be like, oh, let's continue Michael Burnham, and maybe we'll put a scene talking about it.
But
and
look
that's
at
what upset me,
But look at compare Discovery to Picard season 3. Okay, Picard season 3, we got to know new crew members within 10 episodes. Yep. We love them. Geordie's daughter, Liam Shaw. The Bajoran, I forget his name. Forgive me.
I love how we did know all of the names.
We did, but
when we did the review, and now it's like 8 months later. And we're like,
850 episodes, guys, and I've had about a few martinis. But
it's Ed Spielers.
But yeah, Ed Spielers, and we got to know them over 10 episodes. We love them. Discovery, and again, we are not disparaging the actors, their characters, or anything like that. They are all brilliant, and we genuinely want to get to know every single one of them, because Star Trek is an ensemble. The writing was never there. So then they were like, okay, see, at the end of season 2, this is not working. We need to get out of this prequel hellhole. Oh, we'll go to the 31st century. That will solve all of our problems. It didn't. That's not what wasn't working, because Strange New Worlds came along and was like, we're a prequel and we are absolutely smashing it. That's fine. They then went to the 31st century and then they were like, oh, we're going to change this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And it was like, the writing is still not there. And then you have an overarching plot which is solved really frustratingly bad, where it's
I'm gonna take umbrage at the term "solved." I think there.
It's like, what caused the burn? Was it the effects of warp drive? Was it the release of the Omega particle, which we saw in Voyager? Was it something so deeply ingrained in Star Trek
All of these
that
things
we
you
have been
could call
warned
in
about?
from the lore.
Yeah, we have had 30 years of warning about warp speed limits, the Omega particle. No, it was an alien screaming. Right. So,
but
then
this
it's
is
like,
the thing, though. It's like we say, all Trek is good Trek, but it's the idea of the people who enjoy Discovery, and I'm happy to leave it there. I'm happy to be like, because the problem is what we're doing here is we're judging it based upon other Trek. Like, we're judging it by being like, oh, it should have had an ensemble cast. And I do believe that, and I would have enjoyed it more. But I'm assuming that the people who are big Discovery fans are like, no, you can happily focus on one character. We don't care about these other people. You know, they're not important.
what? Yeah.
And I think that's the distinction in the fandom, I think.
But I think
I go, this is what I like about Trek, and I'm going to apply that to everything.
But what gets me is the toxicity within the Trek community, where they're just like, oh, like, because it's all woke and it's all this, and it's just like, shut up, shut up, you.
Oh no!
If you
What
kick
if Star
off,
Just like a certain
becomes
other
woke?
franchise?
You know,
yeah,
it's like-
if you kick off about a woman in the lead, non-gender people, sexuality. You kick off about that in Star Trek, you are not a Star Trek fan. You are absolutely not a Star Trek fan.
We need to tie them up like the Clockwork Orange thing, where their eyes open and make them watch the original series episode with the black and white people, and just be like, just be like, this is the thing.
The season 3
this
finale.
Is not the Mandela effect.
Yeah,
you know?
the season 3 finale. I can't be a captain because I'm a woman. This is 2266. But so,
look at quality. Look at Quality of Mercy. Quality of Mercy took one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek,
the balance of terror.
remade it, and almost made it better than the original. Like a certain other Star Trek movie couldn't do to Wrath of Khan.
Ooh. Sorry, J.J. Abrams is on the phone. Hello.
I can hear the lens flares. Ah!
Anamorphic, you
But
bitch.
look at the quality. Look at the difference. Like,
Yeah.
but Quality of Mercy was. I still think it's the best episode of Strange New Worlds. It took one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek ever, remade it, and did it arguably better, almost better than the original. And that Romulan commander, I want to see him come back as the new Sarek.
Yeah. God, yeah.
I want him to come back, but I want his eyebrows to get thicker in every single scene he's in, so that by the end of the episode, they're just bushes and just a little random visual gag.
So,
or to Pring come back as a Romulan.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna.
Pring was fantastic in that episode. Her mother was even better.
Oh no, not the mother. Don't mention the
No,
mother.
I do love it though, because obviously, like, when you watch the original series and you have like where we meet T'Pring and where we meet her and loads of people are like, oh, she's such a bitch and I can't believe she sort of like does that to Spock and whatnot. And then in Strange New Worlds, we've kind of gone, oh, that's her mum, is it? Okay, suddenly I can explain any of it.
Yeah,
maybe.
it sort of ties back.
And I kind of love that Strange New Worlds justified it that way.
Moving on though.
Gina Sandu was
Sorry, go on, David.
She was great. Gina Sandu was fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So good.
Moving, because it's been 2 hours since we
I
started.
think we lost. It's been 2 hours.
Okay, so Lower Decks happened, right? That's cool.
Lower Deck season
cool.
4. Lower Deck season 4. First and foremost, we got Voyager. We got Voyager.
No,
and
we got Borg salamanders and then some other stuff.
We got the best tribute to Voyager, where it's like, these are references, but there is a reason why they're here, not just ham-fisted. And it's like, it's a museum ship. So yes, there was going to be a reference to the time when Janeway and Paris did the nasty and and the viruses and the Neelix cheese, and and I think it was beautifully done. Seeing Voyager again for the second time this year in a Star Trek show was brilliant. It was fantastically done. But let's just get on to episode 2, The Moopsie. Which is a cultural phenomenon in Star Trek now. And I've seen memes where it's just like, oh, this is just all I'm talking about, the Moopsie. No. This was... Again, this is where Paramount tripped up, because Paramount should have saw this and went, people are going to want these. They should have had plushies on standby day one for this episode to air. They would have sold like hot cakes.
Just like they did with Grogu, right?
Yeah. Quantum Mechanics, QMX, who are sort of a subset of Fansets who make these badges and make all the other stuff, they are making Moopsie plushies. They will sell. They will absolutely sell. This is a testament to Lower Decks, where they could take something like that and just turn it into a cultural phenomenon of 2023 in Star Trek after everything that's happened, and they're just like, Moopsie. And it's just like, it's a bone-drinking, cute and cuddly animal. And it was...
And I think the hilarious thing about it is how well-received Moopsie was. But like we're saying, it's all subjective. Because I remember us talking about this and me being like, I'm not that fussed about this episode. Because obviously they came out at the same time, didn't they? They got released, the episode 1 and episode 2.
Yeah.
And I was on the side of, I preferred episode 1 to episode 2. Whereas you were very much like, oh, episode 2 overshadowed episode 1.
Yeah.
And it was so wonderful that we could both agree that they were great episodes of Trek, but that we have different favorites, rather than going, oh, well, that was shit. Oh, that was good. And that's the thing. And it was like how amazing it is that the whole series was like that, where we got all these amazing episodes that are like polarizing. I think the only one that I've heard that people weren't fussed about is A Few Badges More. That's the only one where most people are like, yeah, that's not my favorite.
It's extremely shoehorned 2 major stories into one 21-minute runtime episode, where it's just like it could have been 2 episodes in themselves.
You could have left those plot lines till season 5.
Yeah, you underused
rather than needing to do it.
You underused Jeffrey Combs, which you should never ever underuse Jeffrey Combs.
It is a crime. It should be a crime. Underusing Jeffrey Combs.
The way they linked, and I know Sean sort of didn't like the way they linked Mariner with Sito from The Next Generation in Lower Decks. I did. Yeah. I think it was a justifiable explanation for her behaviour, why she is what she is, and in the era that she is in. I think it was very justifiable. Yes, she never mentioned her in the 3 years, but we never really got to explore the backstory. We just got, Mariner just doesn't like being promoted, wants to be an ensign.
Yeah.
But
shows are allowed to write new things. I mean, Bashir is an augmented human. That was never planned. The amount of contradictions throughout DS9 to that entire plot line, and we just accept it. We're like, yeah, he's a mutant. That's fine.
But
even though it blatantly wasn't there,
But to speed it along, because obviously we are pressed for time. To speed it along, the overarching mysterious ship destroying other ships, which we called the Krusty the Clown ship. And then realizing that they were actually taking them to form a fleet. To deal with such a minor yet big issue in Trek fandom, which was the Nick Locarno, Tom Paris conundrum, where Nick Locarno, Robert Duncan McNeil, Tom Paris, Robert Duncan McNeil. We all know, and I did say this in the review of season 10, why Nick Locarno, why Robert Duncan McNeil, his character changed between The Next Generation and Voyager, because they couldn't get the rights to the name Nick Locarno from the writer. They did it well. in season 10 of Lower Decks where Rutherford's just like, he looks like Tom Paris, and Boimler's just like, I don't see it. No, but seriously, he looks like him. No, I don't see it. He sounds like him. I don't hear it. That is literally Tom Paris. No, I don't really see it. And then they just, you know, a 30-year-old conundrum, a 30-year-old plot hole in Star Trek, and they deal with it in 30 seconds so brilliantly, and then never talk about it ever again.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
and we've got that, but also I just want to point out the amount of extra world building we get in this season of Lower Decks. Like,
Oh.
I would very much, David, I would very much ask you to watch Lower Decks season 4. Is it season 4? Or is it season 5?
Season 4.
Yeah, season 4. Just simply for the amount where it just goes, hey, we're going to do an episode about the Orions. We're going to do an episode about being on Ferenginar and stuff. And then the amount that they've been able to just go, hey, this has never been answered before, but here's this, and here's this, and here's more rules of acquisition.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's great that, you know, and that's not the whole episode. It's like there's a plot in the episode, there's characterization in the episode, but then it still adds more Trek to Trek.
If you can push,
Yeah.
past the animation style and treat it as another season in the TNG era, you'll sit there and go, they've not. Obviously, they progress the era, but they evolve the world. They enhance the world because, like I said earlier on, they exist in that era. They explore that era. They don't say, "Oh, there's a new species. There's this new species." They're like, "Oh, well, we're going to see
enough.
We're going to we're going to
have
see the
enough
Orions.
species."
Yeah, we're going to go to this starbase. We're going to go see the Orions. We are going to go to Ferenginar." They sort of, it's like, this is probably going to be a really crap analogy. Lower Decks is like the ultimate side quest in Star Trek, where it's like, you've got the main quest, which is TNG, DS9, Voyager. Lower Decks is like, okay, so you've got the main storyline. We're going to backfill the world, and we are going to enhance your appreciation of Ferenginar, of the Orion species, of star bases that have got bars, and, you know, just basically, we all exist in a world, but it's not, we're enhancing it. We are bringing more things to the table which you wouldn't think of, like the whole element of there is no money in the Federation, so how do they get around it? And Lower Decks sort of tackles that.
Yeah.
Where
CDs.
Yeah,
Go on,
David.
So would you prefer Lower Decks to change like go back and finish the story of Enterprise, or would you rather see that's done for live action in some like Strange New Worlds?
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be a lot of extra references to Enterprise in Lower Decks, but I think the creators of it would be like, no, we're holding out on you fixing that. You know, someone else actually giving Enterprise a proper ending. But has there not already been like some kind of reference to everything being a hollow simulation or something? I can't remember.
there is that theory in Lower Decks that Wolf 359 was an inside job, that everything is just a grand holosuite novel played by a more advanced race, which is parallel in the great simulation theory that we have in real life. But it's with Enterprise.
What was the best one? Isn't there like Kirk isn't real or something? No, Data isn't real.
Data isn't no. Picard is an AI.
Yeah.
And Data isn't real, and Wolf 359 was an inside job. But going back to Enterprise, like
there's so much fun stuff, like David. Even if you don't like animation, just close your eyes and listen to the nonsense.
Going back to Enterprise,
I love animations. I just struggle. Like I said, I can watch all the Star Wars animated stuff, but maybe it's just my ADD.
I didn't finish Bad Batch.
It does improve in season 2. The modelling of the exterior shots of the Cerritos and stuff, it does improve a lot in season 2. But if you suspend that, because it is all canon, but if you suspend that and it's like, it enhances the world so much. Like the Ferenginar episode where you get the landlord detectives You get the
Oh god, I forgot about
the
that.
war memorial for the Dominion War, but it's not about the lost souls. It's about the lost profits from the Dominion
Profits.
War.
It's
And
all of the stocks that crashed and stuff, and it's like a memorial like monument. to it.
Slug or Koala, the slabbiest cola in the galaxy. It's that.
I think
If you're a TNG fan and you've not seen Lower Decks,
Deep
this
Space
is
Nine.
the love letter that you need. In terms of
But it's all of them. It's the fact of it's not just TNG. It's like all of them. It just goes, hey, loads of DS9 stuff. Oh, like the game. The fact it has the episode where they use the game from DS9.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. As a weapon, and it's just the stupidest concept in the entire world. But I love though that everyone was like going, oh well, Lower Decks is like it's a bit too fan servicey, and then they did the Voyager episode, which is like, no, this is militarized fan service. Like, this is the amount of references we can fit into one.
But it's also, but it's also like this is what would actually happen. Like, if this is the first Federation ship to cross the Delta Quadrant, yes, it would be a museum. Yes, there is hijinks, obviously, but it would be a museum.
I thought you meant like, of course, the Tuvix thing will happen. That's natural. I'm like,
Janeway and murder is like coffee and Janeway. It's but it does and we said this all the way through our reviews. Even you and Kirky did this when I was slumming it in them United States.
What we did.
I spent a night with Mark Harty. I can't remember what I did. All I remember was there was Riker's pillow.
There's worse things to bite into. Anyway,
shall we get into that? Shall we get into that?
No. We've done it.
One of my highlights of 2023, outside of TV Star Trek, was I got to meet Mark Cartier from the Shuttlepod show. Got to
Jealous.
drink with Mark Cartier from the Shuttlepod show, and got to see the Shuttlepod studio, and did a few recordings for him and Unplanned Trek. And he was like, "Oh, take a seat," and I sat down on the chair, like the interview chairs that they have on the show, and he was like, "Your ass is sitting on Riker's pillow." And I'm like, what? And I looked at it and I'm like, he was like, no, this is from the Enterprise D. So he pulled out like the actual cushions from the Enterprise D chairs on the bridge. And he was like, this is from the bridge, not the recreated bridge, the actual TNG bridge. And I was like, don't sniff it. Don't sniff it, Michael, please. But it was like, for me, it was that was a major highlight meeting Mark, because again, like what me and Synoiz have done, he started the Shuttlepod show in 2022, and he was very sheltered when it came to Trek fandom. In 2023, he sort of like got welcomed into the wider community, and he opened up and he came on the show, and he's just had a blast. And just to meet him in person and just to like have copious amounts of alcohol.
I've watched your shows with him. He seems like such a nice guy. I'd love to meet him one day.
I love him to bits.
He's really fun.
I genuinely love him to bits.
You all have made, like, I watched your charity stream. You guys have done so good for yourself. You've made so many good friends. Your charity stream, we all supported you. You guys are doing a great job. Like, the ceiling.
And that's why YouTube deleted it.
The whole Nerdy Up North community, like the whole Nerdy Up North team is amazing. Like, it's the fact that we support each other in our different shows and stuff, like, and that we have all of these shows. Like, like Monsters Up North is just the most ludicrous thing in the entire world, because it is so good. And it's so good. It's like me and Goodwill here, like fangirling about the sort of the thing that we love. And then you get to see Sammy and Dan just fangirling constantly about like obscure horror monsters. It's wonderful.
And
the Ramblecast with Adam and Jake is, it's this idea of just being like, oh, I love all of this stuff. Like, when they're talking about Wario Land and stuff, it's just, I don't know. tweaks my nostalgia.
So we know David's highlight. Obviously, he lived the dream of many of us. Synoiz, out of everything, TV, doing this show, what would you say is your highlight of 2023?
No, it's very odd because obviously I'm involved in a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna pick something that's related to Nerdy Up North and Trekking Up North and stuff like that. I don't know, probably the whole show, I think. Like it's just the idea of like being able to do this and being able to involve my friends has been the highlight, and just the amount of stupid laughs we've had. I think probably getting Sarah Peach, who's just had twins, by the way.
Congratulations,
Sarah Peach is recovering.
Sarah.
Congratulations. She's had her twins. Getting her into Trek over the course of doing this and seeing how quickly her and her husband blazed through it, where they were like, they're like, oh, we're going to start watching TNG. And then a couple of weeks later, they're like, we're on to DS9. And then it was, oh, cool, we're on to Voyager.
I vividly remember when she went to DS9, I was like, watch all 7 seasons and come back to me and tell me how it changed your life. And she was like, yeah. And then 7 seasons later, she was like, this is profound. Like, this has changed me. And I'm like, yeah.
But I'd say it's boring, but I'd say my highlight for this is basically just being part of the show and getting to... It sounds horrible, but getting to just piss around is the most amazing thing in the entire world. Because obviously I'm part of the Girl podcast. I'm part of the Girl podcast, GURL global.com. And the problem is I'm the person who keeps things on track there, if you can believe it. And so it means that there's a lot less room for being really stupid. It's kind of, we chat to guests and we're kind of serious with guests. And I don't get to be the stupid ball of energy I am on this, And so it's wonderfully therapeutic to come on here and just be like, I'm talking about something I like and there are no rules, effectively.
It's really difficult for me because there has been 2023 was extreme highs and extreme lows for obvious reasons, as we well know. In terms of the highlights, I think having the ability to do this show, I was a hermit. I was an anxiety-riddled hermit for the longest time, and I would never, ever imagine sharing my love of Trek with anyone in the world. Everyone, like, people who knew me knew I was a Trekkie, but I would never go to this degree. And in 2022, Paul asked me to do a Star Trek podcast, just a general, let's just talk about Star Trek. And then it was like something ignited within me. And then I plucked up the courage last year and I was like, I'd really want to do a podcast reviewing Star Trek Picard. And me and Synoiz got together. And I mean, I remember that first episode where like we didn't know what the hell we were doing. Everything was ropey and porky. It was beyond adequate. It was less than adequate. And it
hasn't really improved, really.
Well, I mean, the graphics have got better, but to do this with a friend I love dearly, who has been with me
us today, sadly.
Who's yes, who's been with it. Synoiz has been with me through death and life. To quote Kirk from The Wrath of Khan, where we have been through the highs and we have been through the lows, and he's helped me over the last month. But to open up about my love of Trek, share it with friends, get people into Star Trek, which I never thought would ever be impossible, but to then connect.
We're part of the problem.
But to connect with people around the world has been mind-blowing, because let's not forget, guys, David's in Canada. Mark is in LA. I've got people in Germany.
Sean's in Ireland.
Which
if you walk can be quite far.
It's quite wet as well because there is a sea between us. But just connecting with people who share the same love and just want to. It's like a massive Trek family, and I always say this, but it's a massive Trek family. but it's people who don't want to one-up everyone else. They want everyone to grow. They want to share their love of Star Trek. They want to work together. And not once in doing this show, in the year that we have done it, has someone tried to like one-up us or anything like that. They're just like, oh, we'd love to come on your show. Come on our show. Let's do this. Everyone's doing something slightly different. Everyone is having fun, but more importantly, they are sharing their own love of Star Trek. There is no toxicity. There is no hatred. There is just love for something we all like, which is Star Trek. And for me, it has been, and it's going to sound so goddamn cliche, it has been life-changing. It has been absolutely life-changing. The confidence I have got, the ability to do stuff that I paid so much fucking money at university to do again is nice. But I love it. I love it so dearly. Yes, my highlight is the Enterprise D for Trek, but as 2023, doing this show, making friends with David, with Sean, with getting shit-faced with Mark, never again. But
charity stream.
The charity stream.
Friend.
Being able to turn your love into raising money for charity, I think that we can't downplay that. I think
it is to do 2 shows in 12 hours with 2 different guests, being
and
on
Mark
these...
in about 15 different locations.
Mark is Mark. Mark will do a podcast in a grocery store because that's just...
I'm in a supermarket. Okay.
Where are you? I'm in a Ralph's. Okay.
Who's Ralph?
Yeah. Why are you in him? But it's that has been my overall highlight of 2023.
I think it's better.
There's big things coming in 2024. That's all I'm going to say. I am not going to say any more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much looking forward to spending more Fridays with dear old Synoiz, and hopefully David will come back for another episode.
Hopefully, yeah. We'll definitely have David back.
I'm interested. Can I say one quickly as well, too?
Absolutely.
It's not even me being on Star Trek. The love and support I've gotten from all you, like, I'm a background actor. I am not important to the movies and productions I've been on, unfortunately. Like the support you all have given me, that I can go do podcasts on you guys, Captain's Quadrant, Strange New Pod, the one I did for Thanksgiving. Like, I appreciate everything and all the friendships I made with you guys. This arguably, this has been a bigger moment for me than doing Star Trek. Like, who would have think? I would never have thought a year ago a background actor from Canada would be doing podcasts for you guys and everyone else. I really appreciate this. This has meant a lot to everybody.
It's so good, but I think we need to wrap things up. But what I want to do before we wrap things up is, because I don't actually think, being our special guest, that we've asked you enough questions. So I was thinking, because what time we're on? We've been on for
too
9
long,
hours.
but go on.
Yeah, too long.
This is directed by James Cameron. It's fine. Go on.
Can I do a quick fire question round with you, David?
Go for it.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. We're going to get the core of your being in these questions, okay? So yeah, just answer as quickly as you can. Let's speed through these because, like we say, 9 hours. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, you ready?
Let's go.
You ready? Okay, cool. Okay. Favorite color?
Red.
Hometown.
Say that again.
Hometown.
Hometown?
Yeah.
Technically Timmins. Brantford is my hometown.
Okay. How many ears do I have?
How many years do you have? 2.
Close enough. Best Ferengi.
Liquidator Brunt.
Quicker. We need to get through these. Quicker, great.
Sorry.
Croissant or ostrich?
Skip.
The first thing that comes in around. Okay. Favorite captain?
Picard.
Oh.
Okay. Is Swansea a real place?
Yes.
Honk?
Oof. Can't say. Too many.
Is Data a person or the property of Starfleet?
Person.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs or cats? Dogs.
Mice or eggs?
Eggs.
Insects or Einstein's theory of relativity?
Einstein's theory of relativity.
How many fingers am I holding up?
3.
It was 14. Romulan ale or blood wine?
Blood wine.
Favorite Pokemon?
Charizard.
15 minus 9.
Oh my god. 6? Oh
32.
my god.
But Debbie.
Oh, 15 plus 9. Sorry, I'm getting an echo.
No, I made it up.
Getting...
But who would win in a fight between Kirk and Picard?
Kirk.
Oh yeah. Coffee black or Earl Grey hot?
Ooh, coffee black.
What animal makes this noise?
Sorry, I'm getting it distorted. I'm getting a lag. If I missed it.
Oh, that's fine. It was close enough.
Again.
There we go. Okay. Country music or country and western films?
Oh, God.
Country western films.
Favorite meal?
Pizza.
Is Garrick just a simple tailor?
Definitely not.
Was that a lie?
Definitely not.
Okay. Finally, how would you handle a duck at your wedding who's hooped up on Protocol 12?
How would I handle a duck up on Protocol 12? I'd have to pull out this bad. I'd have to pull out this bad boy.
There we go. We get the phaser out. That's it. Oh God, he's found the armory. Okay, thank you very much. I think we know everything now, David. Thank you for
we tried
answering those questions.
I think I think there's an incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers, it is the double wheel of episodes. All hail Lita, praise be to the FCA and Quark's Bar and Grill Emporium franchise LLP. If you are new to Trekking Up North, the double wheel of episodes spins and spins and spins and randomly lands on an episode. And whatever episode it lands on,
Code of Honor.
we must shut up. We must review it. Unless it's Code of Honor, in which I burn everything to the ground.
It's coming. One day it'll be coming.
Synoiz, Science Officer Synoiz.
Yeah.
What do you wish, apart from Code of Honor, what
Good
do
as
you...
Subrasa.
And Subrasa, what do you hope it is?
After we were talking about it earlier, because apparently we were talking about the sexiest episode of Trek, and the one where Quark's face is on Kira's body. I want that one. I've forgotten what it's called, but it's the first Jeffrey Combs episode, I think.
David, which torturous episode do you want us to review next week?
Genesis.
Jesus.
Ooh.
Right.
Okay.
Man, he's a masochist, this one. I thought you Canadians were nice. Okay. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers. We are, for the first time in 2024, about to spin the double wheel of episodes.
Are we all ready to yell Dabo at home?
When it
You better
lands,
be yelling it at your
you better be.
screens.
You all can see it now because I've modified the LCARS system on the Adequate so you can all see it. Are we ready? In 3, 2, 1. Oh, God. The anxiety that this brings. I just saw Sub Rosa as well. Double! The original series episode, Requiem for Methuselah. Ooh, Methuselah.
We've had so many original series episodes through the Dabo Wheel. It's
Why
very
the-
biased, isn't
Why
it?
do they hate Enterprise? That's what I want to know. Requiem for...
We haven't had a DS9 episode, have we?
Nope. Requiem for Methuselah. Right, we are reviewing... Oh my God.
Oh.
We are reviewing Season 3, Episode 19 of Star Trek, the original series, Requiem for Methuselah. The synopsis. Oh God, I don't even want to read this. When Kirk, Spock, and McCoy beam down to a supposed uninhabited planet to gather mineral rhyethalon to fight a plague of Rigelian fever on board the Enterprise, they find a fellow Earthman called Flint and his extremely intelligent female ward, Rayna, whom Kirk begins to fall in love with. Flint then proceeds to trap them and the Enterprise on his planet.
Oh.
I remember this
Sounds
episode.
exciting.
I remember this episode. It's not as bad as I thought. I saw season 3 and my pants dropped, but it's not a bad episode. Why it's another TOS episode, I really don't know. You're really going to have to start programming Enterprise and DS9 in more Synoiz, because this is...
I think the problem is it is genuinely random, but I do feel like maybe we do need to nudge it and be like, hey, maybe we should limit the selection so that we do get something a bit different, because, yeah, random isn't helping us in terms of getting... variety.
Guys, this has been our first episode of Trekkin Up North in 2024. We have been going for 2 hours, 30 minutes and 37 seconds. Thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in live. If you like this video, please give us a like. If you are not a member of the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, what are you doing? Click the subscribe, caress the bell so you find out all the other exciting shows that we do, because we have a regular podcast on a Sunday evening, UK time. We have Monsters Up North, we have Twitch, and we have this porky little show on the U.S.S. Adequate called Trekking Up North every Friday. If you are not a member of our Facebook group, everything is down there in the socials. We have got Facebook, we have got Twitter, we have got the Tick and the Talk, we have got a Discord, for God's sakes. We have got everything. We have also got our friends in all the Trek family. We have got Sci-Fi Queens, the Shuttle Pod, Unplanned Trek, which I am a guest of tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. Just a little plug for you there. Everyone we think you should follow is down there in the descriptions. David, is there anything you would like to say before we wrap up the show?
Thanks for being great friends, and I can't wait for more in 2024.
Oh dear boy, you're coming back. You don't have a choice. Synoiz, are you twitching tonight?
I will be. I need to go to the toilet first, but I will be on Twitch after this, and it's exciting. And also, I need to give a quick shout out because my game is getting re-released tomorrow, which I'm very happy about. Warhammer: The Old World comes out tomorrow, so hilariously, I've got a very busy day tomorrow, but I will be queuing outside of Games Workshop or Warhammer at like 9 a.m. in the morning in order to make sure that my pre-order gets in, which is ludicrous because it's going to feel like being a kid again.
This is before
yeah.
he has a pizza party with me, because I am 36 years old and I still have pizza parties for my birthday. So
hey, it's a great thing. And also next, if anyone who's watching this is coming to RuPaul's Drag Con in London next weekend, I will be there. So I'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And yeah, it'll be really good. So,
guys, this has been an episode of Trekking Up North. I am Captain Goodwill. He is Science Officer Synoiz. This has been our guest, no rank, awesome guy, David. No rank, awesome guy, David. This has been the U.S.S. Adequate. Right there, look at that.
Adequate.
Until next week, stay safe, look after each other. We love you all. Live long and prosper. If I can get it in frame. There we go. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.